Breeze comment, right?
No.
The Hub is your summer destination for clothing that works as hard.
And we are live on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. We are at the world-famous Maynards in Margate. What's going on, everybody? We are ready to go for a fun Wednesday show live on location today. We're giving away a pair of tickets to see the Eagles-Giants game Thursday night. Should be a good crowd here today. We are outside at the Starlight Garden. For the people who have been to Maynards with us in the past, we have done our show inside at Maynards, but it's a nice day out there, Peachy. We are outside. Wasn't so nice last night at the game you went to at Citizens Bank Park. You had a little bit of a rain delay.
I did not stay through that rain delay.
Did you stay to the ninth?
I did stay. Oh, I had to. Duran's entrance. I mean, come on.
Would you have paid $15?
No.
It wasn't worth it in person?
Well, I've seen it before. I've done the QR code, you know.
So you went to the game last night?
I did. Very sleepy game.
Phillies lose.
Did have a Schwarbomb.
Get a Schwarbomb early, get
Auto
a 3-0 lead, and, you know, that's a game. We're going to talk about that game. We're going to get into the game last night because that's a game that in the playoffs you have to win that game. You cannot lose that game last night, and we'll talk about it. We are live at Maynards in Margate today. It's one of our favorite spots. We've been here. The last time we were here, if you remember, we're talking about the end of the Philly season. We were here for opening day. Remember, we were here for the Phillies opening day watch party at Maynards in Margate, and now we're back. So we thank the Maynards team for having us today. And don't forget, Maynards this weekend is hosting Fall Fun Fest. The whole block is going to be a party, but if you go anywhere else other than Maynards this Saturday and Sunday, they got the Phillies and Eagles games sound on for all the playoff games for the Phillies and all the Eagles games, including this Sunday. And they got the NFL tickets with the sound on. And by the way, here at the Starlight Garden outside, They have some monster TVs underneath the Starlight Garden roof there. They got TVs at the bar. So we are ready to go. So everybody who's coming down to Maynards today, we are outside today. So make sure if you're looking for us inside and you're saying, hey, where's the Sports Bash? We are outside. I am your host, Mike Gill. Peachy is my on-site producer. And Josh Henning is back in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Now, I have in my hand, Pete, a Ron John Surf Shop Ocean City sticker.
A now defunct.
It's vintage. This
Ron
is a
John.
vintage Ron John sticker. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see my Ron John sticker here. So the first person who hears the show that's listening out there and is entered, if you are someone who registered for today's show and you stop by this table and you would like my Ron John sticker, I will give it to you.
Do you also have a Atlanta Thrashers sticker or a Montreal Expos one too?
I would like an
For people?
Expos one. I'll
I
do a
would actually
trade.
rock that,
If
yes.
somebody wants to trade me, I have a vintage Ron John Ocean City Surf Shop. Now, I've been to the Ron John. I was just up at LBI last weekend. The original was up there. They
Right.
just tore that down and built a new one. But they also have a Ron John in Clearwater Beach.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been to that one as
Right.
well. But, yeah, I found this in my bag, this Ron John Ocean City sticker that I said, you know what? Somebody who's listening today might appreciate this sticker because I've already used it. It's on my laptop here, right there, Ron
I
John.
do see that, yes.
So I think it's a cool sticker. If you want it, come by and say, hey, can I get the Ron John sticker? And I will give that to you. Let's get into the Phillies game from last night. So you were there. I watched it. Phillies go up 3-0. You get the home run from Schwarber, 1-0.
First inning, yeah. I mean, that you thought that was going to be the game, right?
That's what you want, right?
Yep.
Then you get the Kemp bomb, the Otto bomb.
2-run shot.
3-0 Phils, and you got Christopher Sanchez on the mound. So let's get into the Sanchez portion of it. I have no problem that they took him out of that game last night. What was the feeling? And I'll tell you why. He's at 91 pitches last night. You have a playoff game in 2 weeks from now. I don't need to see Christopher Sanchez throwing 110 pitches in a game that really is meaningless. And if your bullpen can't get you 2 innings of outs against the Miami Marlins, you might have bigger problems. And then we found out that maybe they do have bigger problems. But 91 pitches, he does his job. I have no problem with him taking him out of the game. Now, where I might have a problem with Thompson's decision last night, and I think this is a Rob Thompson decision, because these are the in-game decisions. Not like, hey, you're throwing 6 innings or 90 pitches, or you're throwing 7 innings or 85 pitches. This is where in the moment he has to make the decision. And last night I didn't really care for the decision to let Dave Robertson pitch to – they brought a pinch hitter in.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in a left-handed pinch hitter to face Robertson. The Phillies could have countered. They had Tanner Banks warming up in the bullpen. So they were prepared for a left-handed hitter. They just didn't use the preparation. They could have brought Tanner Banks into that spot. So I would have preferred Thompson. And this is where I will say I think Rob Thompson makes that decision. I think he's the one that says, hey, we have a move here. We need to make it. And he didn't make that move last night. So I'll throw that one on Rob Thompson's plate as an in-game decision. Right there, I would have gone to Thompson. I would have gone to Tanner Banks in that spot. They actually hit for their home run leader last night. In that moment, the guy who leads their team in home runs, they pinch hit for him to get the lefty on righty matchup. So the Phillies could counter if they wanted to with Tanner Banks. Now, in that game last night, I'm not going to go crazy about it. But in a playoff game, I'm going to probably kill you the next day. I mean, Rob Thompson has to make that decision in a playoff game. They go lefty, you have to make the counter move.
And it's not just that, though. I mean, the base running was absolutely Little League. The Weston Wilson error was just inexcusable and just lazy.
Well, Weston Wilson's killing them at second base. And look, that to me, he's not going to play second base in a playoff game, so I can't really.
You got to make that play.
Well,
I mean,
the play where
anyone can make that play.
The throw comes in from Bader from the outfield. You've got to make sure that ball doesn't skip past
just
you.
Keep it in front of you.
Yeah, that's
and
terrible.
A run doesn't score. Winds up scoring.
Weston Wilson trying to stretch a double.
Weston Wilson tries to stretch a double. Kepler got tagged out at third base, I think, in that game.
Kepler you're right, with a bad base running decision.
Right. And you had to strike him out, throw him out, double play. Bader got caught stealing at second base after somebody struck out. But Robertson's got to be able to get out of that.
Well, I have no problem with him taking Sanchez out. He threw 91 pitches.
Yeah.
He was dominant. The score is 3-0. Like, you got to close that game out because guess what? There's going to be a game in the playoffs where you're going to need Robertson to pitch the 8th and Duran to pitch the 9th. And guess what? Here's the thing that I think bugs you more than anything. You got to Duran with a lead in the 9th, facing the bottom of their lineup, and he could not get the job done. You're facing a guy who's batting 8th in the Miami lineup, and you threw him a 102-mile-per-hour center-cut fastball, and he delivered that thing exactly where he should deliver a 102-mile-per-hour center-cut fastball. Where were your seats last night?
Hall of Fame club, actually.
Wow.
Like that? Well, they're cheap.
Look at you.
They're cheap nowadays. I mean, September, you're just trying to get to October 1st, right?
All right. Well, you had Hall of Fame club tickets, so you weren't around that home run ball last night. But
no.
I'm more –
well, is Duran just a regular, not a regular closer, but just a guy in the bullpen now? He's not Mariano Rivera where you can just pretty much say the game is 8 innings long instead of 9 innings long?
Listen, he has more blown saves with the Phillies than he did with Minnesota, and he's only been here for about a month. So that's concerning is that and Miami's an okay team. This isn't a playoff quality team.
They won 7 in a row or 6 in a row coming into that game.
Look, they've exceeded expectations.
7.
They've won 7 in a row. You're right about that. But you're going to face teams that are better than the Miami Marlins, and you're facing the bottom of their lineup. That's what is concerning to me is, listen, do I think Duran is a problem? Of course not. But you got to win that game. You got to win that game even in spite of the comedy of base running errors, the errors at second base, I think the mistake by Rob Thompson in that game yesterday to not take out David Robertson. You got to bring Tanner Banks in. When they went lefty, you should go lefty and try to, neutralize that lefty-on-lefty situation.
I don't know where Strahm was last night. He didn't even pitch in the extra innings, so he was – I don't know if he was unavailable or what.
You never – and that's the thing this time of the year. You don't really know who's available, who's not available, what are they trying to do, who are they trying to rest. You didn't get Harper last night. Apparently he was sick.
Mm-hmm.
So you're playing shorthanded. Look, you have a lineup last night. Your right side of the infield was Otto Kemp and Weston Wilson. I mean, the fact that you're in a game with those two, I'm thinking if I'm a pitcher and those two guys are playing behind me defensively, like, are you kidding me? Like, that's what I throw out at a major league game. Weston Wilson and Otto Kemp are my right side of my infield. And then, by the way, I should give some praise, and I will give some praise to Nick Castellanos. I think, I've been very critical of Castellanos, but I give him credit for he had a professional at-bat last night. And if it's that at-bat that you give me, I will change my stance on Castellanos in terms of helping this team out in the playoffs. Because he's come off the bench and delivered for this team a couple of times now. But his approach has been different in these times where he's come off the bench. He's working counts. He's seeing pitching, almost to the point last night where he took a couple pitches, and Kruk was almost surprised about how he wasn't overly aggressive and worked the count and got himself in position, fouled a couple pitches off. So Castellanos comes in and does a job last night. And if he's going to have at-bats like that, those are at-bats you can win with. Those are at-bats that he can have a role as the right-handed bat against left-handed pitching. He hit last night for Marsh, I believe it was, right? Hit for Marsh last night, not Kepler.
Yeah, I think they, yeah.
Which I was a little surprised that they hit for Marsh because Marsh has been kind of, hanging in there against lefties, and he's kind of been a big contributor. I thought if they would hit for one of the lefties, it would have been Kepler. But in that spot with 2 outs and 2 on, now here's, Castellanos coming up, and he ties that game up. So I got to give him his flowers.
And maybe that's, like you said, his new role is the less at-bats, the better, right?
Well, and I didn't hear any post-game because the game was so late last night, so I don't know if Castellanos, got asked questions again about, hey, are you doing anything different or anything like that? But, this is twice now that he's come off the bench and delivered for this team.
He needs a moment, right? He needs a moment to get the fan base kind of back on his side.
Were they cheering for him last night? They were.
Well, I was gone by then.
Oh.
I did not stay through that rain delay.
Right. The rain delay hit you.
The rain delay, I mean, it was pouring.
How long was the delay?
Hour and 9 minutes.
Oh, man. Rough. So
right.
Marchand, by the way, according to reports, JT Realmuto has a bruised hand. So he did leave the game last night. I was concerned when he stayed in the game through that inning, and then Marshawn hit for him to start the next inning.
Right.
I felt for sure that he was trying to gut it out, and that once he got in the dugout, that he said, dude, it's hurting me. Like, I don't know if that was a precautionary reason that they took him out of the game or that it started to kind of – because the way it hit his hand, flush on the top of his hand, all I felt was this guy broke his hand. There's no way he didn't break his hand because of where it hit him, right in the knuckle area, and that he was trying to throw the ball, and you saw him just – but if you tried to throw the ball with any velocity on it and your hand was broken, you would know right away. Like, you would know right away if you tried to put a little velocity behind that ball on a throw that something was wrong with it. So I felt pretty good that he didn't, like, break it.
And he was able to have, like, a catch with Bohm.
He stayed in the rest of the inning, too.
He stayed in the rest of the inning.
He stayed in the rest of, and they did try to steal on him right away, but they fouled a couple pitches off. But that's a game last night that you need to win.
Now, I think the Dodgers lose last night, so the magic number is 1 to get that number 2 seed, to get the bye.
That's correct.
So I think, if they win tonight or L.A. loses, I think the rest of the week you're going to see some guys in and out of the lineup, right? I mean, you're going to see JT continue to get days off, maybe Schwarber
I would
gets
be pretty
rested.
surprised if JT's in the lineup tonight.
Right. And
Right.
Harper's
if
sick.
Harper's sick and he's not feeling well, he's probably not in the lineup again tonight. We'll see when the lineup comes out. We'll have that for you, of course, here on the Sports Bash Live. But big show for you today. We're live at Maynards in Margate. And, hey, don't forget, when you stop out today, we are outside today. And don't worry, we've got the Starlight Garden. We got that all set up with televisions and all sorts of stuff that you can hang out outside. My man Gavin, I saw somewhere, he's behind the bar. Stephanie's over there as well. I want to get into some Eagles stuff. We're going to have a big show today.
We do have some breaking Eagles news.
Oh, do we?
Yes. Would you like to hear it?
I would.
Some IR candidates here. Jacorian Bennett, Darius Cooper, and Nolan Smith have been placed on IR.
How about Nolan Smith? There's a big name there. Bennett and Darius Cooper all have what is wrong with Nolan Smith?
I
Where
don't
did this
know
come
when he
from?
got hurt or how he got hurt, but he's on IR.
Nolan Smith to the IR. That's some big news right there. According to Brooks Cabina, it is my understanding that Nolan Smith, Jacorian Bennett, and Darius Cooper's injuries will not require surgery. The Eagles hope they'll return near Week 5. Well, already, and this is one of my questions about Nolan Smith, could he hold up through a 17-game season? It's not about his production. It's about whether he can hold up. And so far, I wouldn't say his production was off the charts, but already after 3 weeks, you've now lost, I don't know, would we consider Nolan Smith the Eagles' top pass rusher?
Yeah, I mean, based off the Super Bowl and the playoff games last year, yes. Not this year, though.
Well, and right now, you're struggling to get pass rush to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And now,
And
who takes Nolan Smith's role? Who on this team is the guy that takes that role? Because you got Zadarius Smith and Jalix Hunt, who were kind of rotating on the one side. What do you do now to replace Nolan Smith? And, of course, yesterday was the day that Vic Fangio spoke, and Nick Sirianni already spoke earlier in the day.
Right. And you know what? Jalen Carter has been struggling to get going, I guess. There's been talk about some game shape stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He missed the Cowboys game, obviously, but he's been struggling to get going a little bit here.
So that's big news there. Nolan Smith to the IR. Jacorian Bennett, I think, is big news, too, because I thought eventually they wanted him to kind of take over the cornerback role from Adoree Jackson. Jackson got hurt in the game last week. Don't know his availability for this week. So will we see Kaylee Ringo this week? Will this be the first time that Kaylee Ringo gets an opportunity to kind of win this job that's kind of seemingly wide open, right? I mean, it seems that, hey, no one has really been the guy at this corner. Like, Bennett's got some snaps. Obviously, Jackson struggled a little bit. So we'll end up seeing what they do at that spot there. But
they also signed Quez Watkins and Eli Ricks and Lance Dixon to the practice squad.
Eli Ricks, corner. Okay, that would make sense because Jacorian Bennett goes out. Who was the other one?
Quez
Watkins at
back.
wide receiver. Oh, because Darius Cooper.
And Lance Dixon, linebacker.
Lance Dixon, linebacker, because Nolan Smith.
Marcus Epps to the active roster. Safety.
Marcus Smith, a safety.
And Parry Nickerson,
Corner.
and tight end Cam Latu.
All right. Well, we'll see. Cam Latu has been used as the fullback, too. So we'll see. I mean, that's huge news, by the way. Nolan Smith going down and being out for at least 4 weeks. How are you going to fill that spot? 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. So some breaking news. Nolan Smith, and we don't know what the injury is. There's nothing saying what's wrong with him.
He did have the triceps, right, last year.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it's not a re-aggravation of that injury.
I'm sure it will come out at some point here. Andrew DeCecco from Football at 4 says, my understanding is that the Smiths will not require surgery, and there's optimism they all could return around the bye week. But you're talking about those guys are now definitively out for 4 weeks, because keep this in mind. The Eagles could have put Will Shipley on the injured list, but they did not, because I guess they figured that he could be back within the time frame, and it looks like he's going to play this week.
Hey, Mike, Ian Rappaport just is reporting that Nolan Smith tweaked the same triceps he had surgery on, according to Ian Rappaport.
There you go. So that was the injury from the Super Bowl.
Yes, and the one he had surgery on this offseason. We were in the brace all offseason. So if he retweaked that, are we concerned now this is going to be a lingering issue with him moving forward?
Have to be. Anything tricep, and you're a defensive player, and you need leverage, and you need to be able to kind of use swim moves and all that stuff, and you're using your arms and your upper body strength, and if your upper body strength is compromised, I would think that that's a problem, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how concerned are we with the ceiling of this defense losing a player like Nolan Smith? Like, my question is, where on the pantheon of importance is he to this defense, to Vic Fangio? And who do you replace it with? Now, you do get Nakobe Dean coming back. This will be interesting because Nakobe Dean is due back soon.
That's correct.
Could you essentially play Dean in the Campbell spot and move Campbell to the Smith spot? Now, you can't do that this week, obviously.
You can't do it this week, but is this maybe a situation where they look at Zadarius Smith and say, hey, buddy, we got you now. This upcoming game, this is your test run.
Test run for what?
For more of a larger role moving forward.
Is Zadarius Smith used in the same way that Nolan Smith is?
I mean, they're both basically pure pass rushers.
We'll see. I mean,
I think you asked the question about the hierarchy. I think it goes Bond, maybe Mitchell, throw DeGene in there.
Jalen Carter.
No, Jalen Carter's number one.
Okay, Carter, Bond, Mitchell, and then Smith.
Well, to have Nolan Smith go out, he's definitively who you thought was your top edge rusher, right? Any team that loses their top edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, those kind of guys.
Any team that loses their top edge rusher is looking at their defense way differently today, are they not?
Well, I would say
the Cowboys. They can't stop anybody, and they just traded their best pass rusher.
But see, the difference for the Eagles is that, and this is where I would ask you guys, is it the most important player Jalen Carter? So that makes the defense different, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but Jalen Carter is not right now anyway. You have 3 sacks through 3 games. The pass rush just took a pretty big hit here, and now you can focus more on doubling Carter because you don't have to worry about the edge rush as much because your edge rush isn't as good anymore. So you can even put more focus on blocking the interior of the line.
And that's where Jordan Davis, he can play every down now, right? I mean, he's improved so much against the pass.
609-403-0973. That's the big news today, is that Nolan Smith is one of multiple Eagles that have been placed on the injured list today. What is the trickle-down effect of that? Football at 4 coming up with Geoff Mosher today. Mike Greenberg, Greeny, will join me at 3:30 today.
I heard him today on Get Up with Jeff Saturday defending our Birds.
I'm interested to
Drew
see
Brees.
what he thinks the ceiling of this Birds team actually is. Are they the best team in football? With the injury now to Nolan Smith in this defense, I don't know that Nolan Smith is well known nationally in the Eagles' defensive scheme. I think people know Jalen Carter. I think people have come to know who Zach Bond is, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. I don't know where Nolan Smith falls on that list, but what are you guys out there? When I tell you Nolan Smith out the next 4 weeks. What does it mean for this Eagles defense? When we come back, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City joins us as the Phillies try to finish out the string of games. They need to win one more game. But last night's game, does it concern you? That bullpen, the way it handled that game last night. We'll get into that coming up next with Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City and PressOfAC.com on the Sports Bash live from Maynards in Margate. Here for a fun show today at the Starlight Garden. All right, we're live at Maynards and Margate. What's up, everybody? Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Now, I know we're outside today in the Starlight Garden. Stop out when you're entering for the tickets to the Eagles-Giant game. We are outside. The table's out back. Ariel will sign you in and get you all signed up. Now, the sticker is gone, Peachy. The Ron John sticker is gone.
The Vancouver Grizzlies sticker, Montreal
Vintage
Expos.
Ron John sticker. That was from the Ocean City Ron Johns. That is now a Lululemon.
What a great transition that is.
It was a Ron Johns for not too long. I don't know where Ron Johns thought they were going to make it in Ocean City. Probably a bad decision.
That's a bad business decision.
Yeah. Well, it's a Lululemon now. You can go over there and get your spandex. Got a Ron John shirt in your arsenal?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you get in Clearwater?
Yeah.
Or Ocean City?
I got two of them, actually. Clearwater.
Clearwater ones?
Yeah.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com, set to join us as he does each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He's brought to you by Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, serving South Jersey since 1911, keeping your home game day ready this season. And he joins us, of course, now on the Sports Bash Wednesday. We're live at Maynards and Margate outside at the Starlight Garden. We're going to be giving away Eagles-Giants tickets for that Thursday night football game. And, Mike, it looks like no Nolan Smith will be available for that game there for at least both of those games, Eagles-Giants. How big of a hit is that to the Eagles defense, hearing that Nolan Smith will be out at least the next 4 weeks?
Yeah, big loss for the Eagles. Defense that had been, playing well and was really kind of, sparking the team there. So that's a big loss. And just goes to show you, the Eagles had amazing health last year on their run to the Super Bowl, amazing health the last couple of seasons. And you're kind of seeing that health not be there this season. So far, they've managed to sort of persevere and get off to a 3-0 start. But there are some cracks a little bit in the Eagles' armor right now.
Real quick, as we're talking about that, you talk about 3-0 start. That's the thing that stands out to me. They've won. People are talking about not explosive enough, too conservative. Do you look at those people and say, you're 3-0, what are you talking about? Or do they have merit behind some of the concerns through 3 weeks?
Well, again, as I say so often on here, I feel strongly both ways. I'm a big you are what your record is, right? I'm a big Bill Parcells guy. So they are 3-0. They are undefeated. They are one of the best teams in the NFL. They are the defending Super Bowl champion. So you are what your record says you are. On the flip side, however, when you look at it, and if you're going to stay up night and worry about such things, CeeDee Lamb drops a pass. If he doesn't drop those passes, maybe the Cowboys win. Travis Kelce drops a pass. If Travis Kelce doesn't drop that pass, maybe the Chiefs win. And then you block 2 field goals, in the last 9 minutes, including on the game's final play to beat the Rams. That way of winning is not sustainable to me. However, you are what your record says you are, and right now you're 3-0 and the defending Super Bowl champion.
All right, Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. Saquon Barkley had a 2,000-yard year last year. He has kind of been bottled up. Our team's saying we're not going to let Saquon beat us, or is Saquon not the same?
Well, I think he's the same. I think it's the fact that teams are going into the games right now kind of saying we're going to take Saquon away and we're going to try to take, we're going to do everything we can to take Saquon away. Honestly, Mike, the Saquon Barkley that I've seen these 3 games is kind of the Saquon Barkley that I saw during his era with the Giants. Last year, he had one of the greatest seasons ever by a running back in the history of the NFL. No NFL running back has ever been able to put those 2 seasons back to back like that. So Barkley, outstanding last year, still an outstanding player, still a great player, still one of the best players in football, one of the best running backs. But this is the Barkley that I saw with the New York Giants, kind of 3 games like this, and then boom, maybe there's a 200-yard game coming up, and then you're back to like a 50, 60-yard game for a couple of weeks. So, yeah, this is the Barkley that I've seen. Is it a combination of him just kind of reverting to the norm, which is still excellent, still one of the top players in the NFL? And I also think it's teams saying we are going to do what we can to take Saquon Barkley away and force the Eagles to throw the football.
Mike, let's transition over to what we saw at Citizens Bank Park last night, because I would say that is the game that you have to win. I mean, I know you're down Harper, Turner's not playing, you're playing Weston Wilson at second, you're playing Otto Kemp at first base, but Christopher Sanchez, now I don't have a problem with him pulling Sanchez at 91 last night. I mean, he's got to be ready to go for the playoffs. I don't need him throwing 110 pitches in this game, which is somewhat meaningless now. If you can't get 2 innings out of your bullpen with a 3-run lead, and so I don't have a problem with Sanchez coming out, but are you starting to be concerned with the makeup of this bullpen?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple things there, and I wrote about it for on PressOfAC.com. I said that loss was kind of like, you're sitting in the movie theater and you're waiting for the playoff movie to come on, and they show you a trailer of like a horror movie. And that movie, that game last night was like a horror movie for the playoffs. Like, you don't want your playoffs to go like that. Sanchez leaves the mound with a 3-0 lead, 7 shutout innings. You're absolutely right. You have to win that game. And the fact that they didn't highlights my biggest concern about this Philadelphia Phillies team, which is the bridge from the starters to Duran. Now, even Duran gives up a home run last night on an 0-2, 100-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle. Will you throw the breaking pitch in the dirt or throw the 100-mile fastball, above the hitter's shoulders? Can we waste a pitch there rather than throwing 100 miles an hour down the middle? But that's a story for another day. But yes, the bridge from the starters to the bullpen concerns me. Having said that, if that's a playoff game last night, Christopher Sanchez, I guarantee you, would be back out for the 8th inning.
I would agree with that. I have no problem last night with it, although I would ask you, they go to a lefty to face Robertson. Topper should go to Banks there, or are you okay with that move?
Yeah, I think he should have gone to Banks earlier in the inning. It's strange, Mike. I have questions about Robertson. I have questions about Kirkring. I have questions about Matt Strom. The one guy I don't have questions about right now, that one of those bridge guys, is Banks. He's having an outstanding season, and relievers kind of have seasons like this where they're really hot or they're really cold. I think he's come in with 32 inherited runners on base, and I think only 12 of them have scored. He did it again last night. I mean, he is one of the guys in the back of that bullpen that I actually trust back there.
Yeah, and obviously Robertson, he comes in. Now they switch to the lefty. They keep him in the game, and he ends up giving up a single there, the score, and then the throw. Wilson can't get in front of the throw. I mean, just little league stuff. Bad base running here. And we talked about how good the team was to get the 12-game lead on the Mets, to pull away from the Dodgers. You don't want to hit your peak at that point, and you're looking at a team. This is where that balance comes in, Mike, of playing out the streak, where it's hard to keep your focus and play your best baseball.
Yeah, I think it's only human nature, right? I mean, Rob Thompson, after the game, he kind of brought it up, said, things have been a little sloppy the last couple of games. We've got to clean it up in a hurry. I think it's only human nature. After you clinch, after you've all but clinched the second, the number 2 seed and a first round bye, we know that's going to happen. I think it's only natural that you kind of let down a little bit. Maybe you're not playing as crisp baseball as you were. So, I'm not too worried about that. I think the Phillies will be able to get that back. And Mike, the other reason I'm not too worried about it is look around the league. Look, the Dodgers last night. Oh, but you talk about a playoff nightmare loss. The Phillies would have had if last night was a postseason game. How about the Dodgers? They get walked off by the Diamondbacks last night. That would have been a disaster if it was a playoff game. So again, sometimes we look at our own teams in isolation and we don't see the big picture. So the Phillies aren't the only ones going through the final week of the season malaise, basically.
No, they're your home comfort game day ready this season. All right, we are live at Maynards in Margate, getting you ready for the Eagles-Giants game. The Eagles-Giants game tickets, we've got them. Now, we did enter all the people. You must be present to win. But don't forget, you can come hang out, watch a show, have a nice cold one at the bar, get yourself a little sandwich, a burger, or something here at the Starlight Garden. Fall Fest is this weekend. Margate Fall Fest is happening Saturday and Sunday. Plus, they've got the Eagles game with the sound on and the NFL ticket. You can listen and watch all the games right here at Maynards in Margate. Stop out this weekend if you can't get out here today. The Sports Bass live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, coming up in the next hour, you'll hear from Nick Sirianni and you'll hear from Greeny. Mike Greenberg will join us at 3:30 on the Eagles season and his thoughts on that. Coming up on the Sports Bass live on 97.3 ESPN. Okay.
I respect Philly. They are winning games. They're finding a way to win games. I can't stand to watch that offense. It's the most boring offense. It is. I'm sorry.
They have won 19 of 20 games doing it a certain way. And a Super Bowl, by the way, in the mix of all this. And you're going to go call a boy. I guess winning is boring, but I like watching boring. And I love to watch offensive line play, which is much more impressive to me. Let's talk about Breeze and the Saints, who I lost a Super Bowl to, so I'm still salty about that.
Unbiased
I mean,
comment.
Sydney slants and check down Charlie. And all this stuff, we just act like we're airing it out. I think they completed like 27 passes against us 2 yards or less. That's the same as running the ball, Drew. Oh, you got me hot, dude. You got me flashing back to my old days and talking trash about the best O-line in the game. No, sir.
That was Geoff Saturday this morning on GetUp. We'll talk to Mike Greenberg at 3:30 today. The audio started with Drew Brees saying that the Eagles' offense is so boring.
It was so boring that it won a Super Bowl last year.
So does it matter if your offense is boring? Do we care that the Eagles' offense is boring? Is the Eagles' offense boring?
Yeah, I don't know what Drew Brees is looking for there. Does he want, 35 points a game? He wants 350 yards passing from Jalen Hurts.
Listen, I don't care how you get it done. Just get it done, right? Like, there was a time where if you watched college football, you would see teams run the Delaware wing T. Hardly an exciting offense, right? You saw triple options. Navy wins football games by doing something that nobody else does. The Eagles are able to do something that nobody else can really do, which is beat you up. Because why? People have a hard time with this, and I said this last year. A.J. Brown is a star. Devontae Smith is a star. Saquon Barkley is a star. Jalen Hurts is a star. But none of them are bigger stars than the Eagles' offensive line. And because the Eagles came to terms with the fact that their offensive line is the star, when your offensive line is the star, this is the style of football that you get.
And it's funny that the offensive line isn't as good as last year's so far.
And it's one of the reasons why they're struggling.
Yes.
Yep. Nolan Smith out. He got placed on the injured list. And listen, it's one of the things I said about Nolan Smith. I didn't question whether Nolan Smith could play. My question with Nolan Smith was, can he stay healthy through 17 games? Can he be durable enough? Well, our first answer is, so far, no. He has been placed on the injured list along with Jacorian Bennett and Darius Cooper. They all got put on injured reserve. They hope to be back in 4 weeks. But here was the biggest question with Nolan Smith. Can Nolan Smith stay healthy enough to get you through 17 weeks of the season?
And now can Jalix Hunt, Josh Uche, Zadarius Smith, can they be the next ones up?
Who steps into his place? Football at 4 coming up in an hour. Coming up next, Nick Sirianni. You'll hear from him, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, hour two, Sports Bash live at Maynards and Margate. Yes, indeed, we are outside at the Starlight Garden. We're going to be hanging out till 6 o'clock tonight. We're going to be giving away a pair of tickets to go see the Eagles game on the bus, PG. You're going to take the bus up to MetLife. All Eagles fans. Going to be kind of like today. Big Eagle tailgate party. Hopefully we see a lot of Eagles green today. I got the Eagle green over there. I like
there
the
is
Eagle
a Kelly green over there.
I like the Eagle. Now, I'm not the biggest Kelly green guy, but I can certainly get behind it.
Now, are you a big black Sixers?
I do like Black Sixer. Yep.
Me too, man.
Black Sixers is good. You know, that brings me back to my college years.
I'm excited for that.
Right? When I was in college, AI, that was like the whole Iverson, Reggie Miller. Remember when the Sixers were playing like Indiana? They were playing the Magic.
Well, when Iverson
Penny.
steps over Tyrone Lue, guess what jersey he's wearing?
He's got the so they're going to wear them this year. The 01 Sixers black with like the Sixer kind of written in silver. They introduced them, obviously. I think they made it official today.
Yep,
that they're coming back for those. And there's going to be a bunch of games they're going to wear them.
And let me tell you something. Embiid looks great. They more social media photos of Embiid wearing that jersey.
You're sold.
I might be back in.
Do you think that they put Embiid in the black Sixer jersey because it's more slimming?
Perhaps, yes. That's why I
heard
black,
Joe
yeah.
Flacco. He was on Wake Up Barstool.
I saw that.
And they asked him if the brown uniforms, if he thought they made him look fat.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you would think that brown, it's so dark, it would make you look slimming. But I do agree. Brown kind of makes you look frumpy.
Right, you got to go all black.
Right, so the Sixers are bringing back the black jerseys. Sixers, by the way, Media Day is on Friday. By the way, Friday we're going to be live at the Roost in Egg Harbor Township. Stop out there. Today we're at Maynards and Margate. By the way, they're having Fun Fest this weekend. Woohoo! Yes, indeed. Saturday and Sunday, Fall Fun Fest in Margate. And you can stop by the whole block, Amherst Avenue. They got all sorts of crafts and food and fun. And right here at Maynards and Margate. Plus, the Eagles game this Sunday against the Buccaneers. Sound will be on, and all the Phillies playoff games as well, plus the NFL Sunday ticket. Now, I know people are driving here today, and it's raining out. We are outside. We are covered. Don't worry. You can stay nice and dry, and you can wet your whistle over there at the bar and get yourself a nice cold one here at Maynards and Margate. And obviously, so we're underneath the tent here, Peachy. You getting wet over there?
I was, but not anymore.
No, we're doing good over here. I'm enjoying it. I actually like the atmosphere. Feels like I'm at like a college tailgate party, getting ready for it, like the little calm before the storm. We know a lot of people are going to be showing up today trying to win these tickets. So stop on out and get here. We're brought to you this hour by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, and installation for generations. Call 609-390-3907. Visit them online at broadlees.net. All right, coming up, Mike Greenberg, Greeny, will join me at 3:30. He's got a new book coming out. Plus, I want to get his thoughts on this Eagles season. Can they repeat? And if they do, if he was to write a book about this Eagles era, how would he pen that first chapter of this Eagles team? We'll talk to him about that. Mike Greenberg at 3:30 today on the Sports Bash Live. Real quick, before we get to Nick Sirianni, have we seen a Phillies lineup yet? Anybody see a Phillies lineup
No,
out
but
there,
we do
PG?
have Edmundo Sosa is back.
Sosa. So we got some injury news on the Eagles and the Phillies. So the Eagles have placed Nolan Smith, Jacorian Bennett, and Darius Cooper on the injured list. The Phillies have activated Edmundo Sosa and have designated Donovan Walton for assignment. So Walton, he gone. Sosa is back, so I imagine he'll be at shortstop tonight. Although Bryson Stott's played a pretty damn good shortstop.
And that's really his natural position, right?
You know what's funny? He played short, obviously, his first years up here. But there was a lot of people who didn't think he was a long-term shortstop. Like, they thought he would be better suited to play second base, and he's been a great second baseman. So it looks like, though, that he could handle playing shortstop. He's been pretty damn good at shortstop. But he'll move back to second. Sosa will go over to short, I would assume, unless they put Sosa at second and keep Stott at short for the time being until Trey Turner comes back. All right, let's get to Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. Now, remember, Sirianni spoke earlier today that before the Nolan Smith news came out. So here's an update on the Eagles in the Eagles-Buccaneers from head coach Nick Sirianni. You can hear that right now on the Sports Bash.
The running game, what are you seeing on film from the running game right now, and what's kind of holding it back? Yeah, obviously a lot of different things go into making any play work, run game, pass game, anything. So I wouldn't say there's one particular thing of it being efficient. We know we got to be more efficient with how we coach it, with how we call it, with how we with how we execute it.
You've been blitzed at a high rate through these first 3 games. How do you feel your built-in answers have helped Jalen when he's hot?
Yeah. Those happen in different ways. All right. Sometimes it's checked. Sometimes it's built in. There's always different options with that. And I think we've done a good job so far with it. I think teams do that to create chaos with it. And I think Jalen has shown that he's continuing to develop and become better and better at handling it. A couple things that happened in the last 2 games where he's made some big time plays with some pressures. You make those plays and you don't stop seeing it until you make those plays. And I think when you see the Kansas City one to Devontae, there's been a bunch, but particularly the Kansas City one to Devontae, and then the touchdown against the Rams, that's going to put more and more fear into the defense to be able to run that. So I think Kevin's done a nice job and Stout and everybody involved on the offensive side of giving us answers. And I think that players have been executing that at a high level, particularly in that pass game.
Jordan Davis played at such a high level in these first 3 games. What does it take for a player at that point when maybe the early part of his career isn't as successful?
Yeah. Everybody, I think we've talked about this just with a lot of things. I think everybody wants instant gratification. That's just not the reality of the sport. And I know there's a lot of guys there's guys that come in and play instantly, play really good. But to reach your level as a player, there are steps to it. Just like I kind of talked about, there's steps to developing to play your best football by the end of the year. There's steps to it. And so I think the main thing that came to my mind was, patience, and again, I know we try to live different than the outside world here because a football building's different than the outside world. We have to have our process. We have to have, our steps to reach our potential. And so, I think it's just a good example of a guy continuing to work, continuing to get better because he should be playing better football now than he was when he first entered the NFL. He's put a lot of work into it and has won and played in a lot of meaningful games and won against really good players in practice. I mean, it all contributes to that. And so, but I think at the end of the day, we always talk about in the draft process, you want to find guys that are tough, right? Jordan Davis is that, both physically, mentally, plays with relentless effort, and you want to find guys that love football, because God willing, those are the guys that tend to reach their ceiling, and I think that's just what you're seeing is that's why he keeps getting better.
To get back to the running game, do you kind of see like the way you guys were able to establish the pass in the second half is something that could open things up for Saquon in the running game? I mean, and it's kind of backwards, but
yeah,
you see that's
yeah, of course. Again, anytime they're keying in on something, and when you have the guys that we have and the coaches that we have, when they key in on something else, when you give a little on one end, you're gonna give up a little bit, right, and vice versa. So. Yeah, every game and every situation and every scenario presents different problems, different things. We always want to be on the attack mode as an offense. And so, again, we'll do whatever we need to do in each and every game. Obviously, we want to, build leads and get up on the opponent. But if we have to win a game like we won last week, we'll do that as well. So, I think, we want to be more efficient, all right, in the run game area right now, and I think there's many different ways that can that could be a different scheme, it could be a different blocking technique, it could be the pass game. There's a lot of different things that could play into it.
Are you interested in bringing in bringing C.J. Gardner-Johnson back?
I really am excited about the room that we have. I think they've done a really nice job to date. Got a good young player in Andrew Makuba, who's continues to get better. And I think that having Reed next to him, is helping him get better. And just as how Reed got better, having Marcus Epps in the building, and Reed said that, I've said that in here before about, Marcus Epps. So just really excited about that room. Sydney's doing a really good job. He's doing a good job on special teams and doing some work on defense as well. So I'm really excited about that group and pleased with that group.
When you look at Tampa Bay's success that they've had against you, is there a consistency that you've seen over that time, or an inconsistency on your guys' part during that time?
Yeah, obviously, we've, dating back to 2021, I think, we played them in 21, and twice they beat us. We played them in 23, we split with them, and then obviously they beat us last year. So another team kind of like the Chiefs, where we've played them a bunch over these past 5 years. And so you're always looking at those old games to kind of identify the things that they did well, the things that you did well, to see if you can repeat them. And so that's always on our mind when we're playing a team is, what do we think they did well that they would repeat? What do we think that they won't do because we heard them on it, and vice versa?
What have you seen from them on film this year, first couple weeks?
It's a really good football team. I can't tell you how much respect I talked about how much respect I had for Coach McVay last week. The feeling is completely mutual for Coach Bowles and his staff. Man, is he a good football coach? And we played against him. I can think back to 2014 in a game we had when he was the Arizona Cardinals defensive coordinator that they got us. I think we lost 19-17 or something like that, but he always presents problems. I think back to the 2019 when I was with the Colts, where they got us 38-35. Just always does a really good job of presenting problems. And I think, you always look at that first, but then you see his team play with great fundamentals and great detail. Got a lot of respect for that. I think they've done a good job building the team. They got playmakers everywhere. Those two backs that they have are really, really good. I think Baker Mayfield's playing outstanding football. Receiving core, offensive line, Vita Vea, who's been there forever, feels like been there forever, right? And the things that he can do, two good corners with Dean and McCollum. Winfield's made a ton of plays. Levante David's been a star in this league for a long time. So they know how to win. And I think it's because, first, Coach Bowles, and then all the guys that they've had that's had a lot of success there. Like I said, Vita Vea's been there through all these wins, and Levante David, Winfield feels like he's been there forever. So a lot of respect for this opponent. And, there's a reason they keep winning their division. It's because it's a really good football, well-coached, good football team.
What went into the decision, Nick, to leave a day early for Tampa?
Yeah, everything we do is to try to give ourselves the best chance, that our process is right to give ourselves the best chance to win. If your process is off, then, you don't have as much of a chance. And so that was part of our process when we studied some things in the off season with the heat and everything like that. Get out there a day earlier to acclimate, one less day, off the plane before you play a game. So those are a couple things to name a few.
Different head coaches always stress different things. It seems like you've always really stressed and emphasized situational football. Was there a moment in your career where you decided that was something that really mattered to you, and why do you put so much emphasis in it?
Yeah, that's a good question, Elliot. I think when I first got into the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs, kind of learned that Patriot system / Parcells system, right? Todd Haley was a Bill Parcells from his tree, And then obviously we had a lot of guys from the Patriots tree, which they always, put such good emphasis on situational football, having confidence, that when you're in situational football, that you've been through those things so many times that you're going to handle, that your process is right, that you're going to give yourself the best chance to handle them. And I kind of fell in love with that because, there are so many games in this league that come down to one-score games. Like the parity of this league is pretty cool. It's really, it's really cool. So, but those are the things like, I always think, in those scenarios when you can have that confidence because you've been through it 1,000 times, those are key in moments like that where it's high stress, like in high stressful moments. I don't know that phrase, you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training. I think I said it right. But, and so, the team that builds better habits, is going to have a better product. And that's what we think a lot about.
Spacing on some of the past plays have been, it's been not particularly in sync, guys on top of each other. Is that a product of design or guys not running correct routes?
Yeah, we don't like to put guys on top of each other in the concept. So, yeah, there's multiple reasons for that. When you do have that, again, I believe you're probably talking about the one in the game because it didn't happen a lot, but there was one in the game in the LA game where we had two guys there, and when you see that, there's some sort of miscommunication that happened on the play. That could be from coaches, that could be from players, that could be from there's many different reasons. Obviously, I'll never come up here and say what it is, particularly when it's something like that, even though I respect your question. But there's always a different reason when that happens. Our job, I think one of the biggest things when we talk about detail is we all need to be on the same page. Defensively, the easiest way to give up a big play is when you're not on the same page, and vice versa. And on the other end, when you're not on the same page as an offense, bad things tend to happen, negative plays, turnovers, definitely not being efficient, So that's why we work so hard in the walkthroughs, that we're full speed to the snap and walkthrough and our minds working, so we can eliminate those as much as possible. That's always something that when we review the tape, we're looking for that and stressing that in here. Hey, we got to be on the same page because this game too comes down to those matchups and the talent that you have, and we have great talent, but that talent can't shine unless you are on the same page. So we know how important that is because we talk about it a lot. Like, master the things that require no talent, so your talent can shine.
Last one. You mentioned a football building has to be a little bit different than the outside world. When you hear the word like conservative, what do you think that disconnect is that people from outside maybe don't understand?
Yeah, I don't try to wrap myself into what anybody outside this building thinks, or everyone is entitled to their opinion. We're going to do everything we can do to win the game. We want to make sure that, and I know I've talked to you guys about this a lot, we want to be explosive because we know that factors into winning games, and we also want to be able to protect the football and take the football away. I know those things don't always live in the same world. I think they can live in the same world. Obviously our success that we've had, they have lived in the same world. And so, again, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. We can't wrap ourselves up in any of that. Our job is to figure out ways to win, to put our players in positions to succeed. Our players' job is to go out there and execute, play with great fundamentals and great detail together and tough. And yeah, I think, what an example too. I think that a lot of people were saying that last year about our team, right? And again, I'm not going to try to get back into last year too much, but if we would have caught ourselves so wrapped up in that last year, it would have affected the way if you get yourself too wrapped up in that or wrapped up at all in that takes away some of the time that you can put in to, doing what you need to do and go out in there and trying to win every game. So you can't get too wrapped up in that. And again, you always got to do everything you can do to win each and every football game, and every football game looks a little different.
All right, there's Nick Sirianni here on the Sports Bash. You heard him, and he's all brought to you by our friends over at Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing service, and installation. Call 609-390-3907, online, broadlees.net. So we made a quick line change. We are now underneath the indoor. We are outside still, but we are underneath the outdoor tent here, so we were getting a little bit more. But there's, plenty of coverage out there, Peachy. But how about the question by McMullen at the end there? People who call you kind of boring or conservative, which is something we were talking about last hour. And, obviously, he's not going to let that faze him. I think it's at the point where Sirianni actually likes the fact that they're viewed that way. Do you get that feeling at all, anybody?
As maybe the underdog, they won the Super Bowl last year, but they're still getting criticized.
Right, say what you want about us. Don't care. We won the Super Bowl. What are you going to do about it? All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. When we come back, Mike Greenberg is set to join us from GetUp, and he's got a new book coming out with Hembo. Hembo's going to be on tomorrow's show. We'll talk to Hembo tomorrow. Greeny today. I want to get his thoughts on if he were writing a book about this era of Eagles football. What would the first chapter be about? The Nick Sirianni era of Eagles football. Is it about Nick Sirianni? Is it about Howie Roseman? We'll ask Mike Greenberg that question. And does he think the Eagles are the best team in football? By the way, the Phillies lineup is out tonight, and it's brought to you by Instant Services, South Jersey's premier HVAC, plumbing, and electrical service provider. Go to instantservices.com to learn about their preventative maintenance memberships and how they can keep your systems running strong year-round. Yeeks. Tonight, the lineup looks like this. Bader, Schwarber, Bohm, Castellanos, Kemp at first base. Sosa is at short. Wilson is in left. Stott is at second base. And Marchand is catching tonight. No Real Muto, no Harper in the lineup tonight for Jesus Luzardo. And that's your lineup tonight, brought to you by Instant Services. Go to instantservices.com. So not the deepest lineup tonight. Castellanos in the 4-hole tonight.
I imagine a lefty's on the mound for Miami.
I would imagine so. I don't know who's pitching for the Marlins. I didn't look at that yet. But Sosa is back. But the big news today, Nolan Smith on the injured list with a strained tricep. He is expected to be out at least the next 5 games. Ooh. And there is a bye week in there, so possibly 6 weeks without Nolan Smith.
So we're not going to see him until after Halloween.
Weather's pitching tonight. He is a lefty, by the way. All right. Was that a David Akers jersey, a little 4?
Kevin Cobb?
Kevin Cobb?
Kevin Cobb. I called that one.
Good call. But the Cobb name is off
gone.
the back. I like it.
Wow.
So who's the new number 4? Who's the most recent number 4?
It could be anybody now with the number changes, right?
All right. Mike Greenberg, Greeny from GetUp joins me next. All right, 3:30 on the nose. We're live at Maynards at Margate. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Mike Gill in the Sports Bash. Don't forget, coming up at 4, Geoff Mosher has today's football at 4. We'll get you the latest on Nolan Smith, how long he might be out for, and who could replace him. That's at 4 o'clock today. Football at 4. Casey Joyner tonight, one thought every game. He'll join us at 5 o'clock. You know, Casey generally joins us on Tuesday's show, but he had his wedding anniversary yesterday. He couldn't tell his wife I'm doing the Sports Bash, right?
Yes.
Can't say to your wife, can't come on the radio because it's my anniversary.
Yes, some things are more important than others.
So he's on today. And he'll be on tomorrow. We'll look back at week 3, one thought every game, and ahead to week 4, one thought every game on tomorrow's show. Sports Bash live on location at Maynards and Margate. So we're hanging out outside at the Starlight Garden today. Tomorrow we'll be at Chickies and Pete's. And on Friday we're on location all week long. But right now, let's get into it. Mike Greenberg is the host of Get Up weekday mornings on ESPN. He's also got a new book out with Paul Hembekides Hembo that will be something that everybody this holiday season down the shore going to need. Got Your Numbers, the greatest legends in the teams that made them. It is available starting yesterday, so you can go on out there and get your book now. Mike Greenberg. Greeny joins me right here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Welcome back, Greeny. How you been, man?
I'm really well. How have you been, Mike? Thanks for having me back on.
Absolutely. And, we saw a lot of conversations surrounding this Eagles team, and you have the new book out, Got Your Number. And I was thinking to myself, if you were writing the first chapter about the current edition era of Philadelphia Eagles football, taking us back to about 17 to where we are now, how would you kind of characterize who this Eagles organization is and has become?
Well, it's a good question. I think it starts with Howie Roseman, which is probably not what most football teams would be. Pro football is such a complicated sport because of the hard salary cap that it is generally the formula is just go get a great quarterback and then you have a chance. And if you don't have a great quarterback, you don't have a chance. And then here you have a team who obviously now does have a great quarterback, but they found him in a very unorthodox way. They drafted and developed a kid that not many people believed was destined to be a franchise quarterback. They were willing to walk away from a guy that looked like he was going to be the future of the franchise when they recognized that they had a better option. They won a Super Bowl with a journeyman at quarterback, and they have now put together what is inarguably the best roster, top to bottom, in the NFL. They do it with an aggressive sort of fast-paced. That's not the right word I'm looking for. I guess aggressive is the only word I can think of. An aggressive management style. So I think Howie Roseman has distinguished himself as the top guy doing what he does in the business. They've done it with multiple coaches. And he found Nick Sirianni. He stuck by Nick Sirianni through what looked like some questionable moments. I don't know what all the politics in the building were, when it got bad that one year after Steichen and the coach in Arizona, whose name just jumped out of my head. Jonathan Gannon. But I think all things considered, the story would start with Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
There may not be another team in the NFL where I would say it starts with the general manager. But I think right now, sitting where I sit in Philly, I think it does.
That's a very interesting take, and they are a polarizing team. As if you watched Get Up this morning, Drew Brees comments saying the Eagles' offense is boring, yet they win 18 out of the last 19 games.
19 of 20.
19 of 20. 19 of 20, yes.
Both things can be true. The offense can be boring, and yet they can be the most effective team in the sport. There is zero debate that they are the most effective team in the sport. That's not an opinion. It's an obvious statement of fact. They've won 19 of their last 20 games, 17 in a row that Jalen Hurts completed, and one of them was the Super Bowl. So there isn't any debate that they are the preeminent franchise in the sport over the last 2 years, and behind the Chiefs, the preeminent franchise in the sport for the last 6 or so years. And that can be true. And at the same time, you can say that watching their offense play is not the most exciting team. To me, the most fun the most fun I've had watching them play in a long time was watching the fourth quarter this past Sunday. Because I will admit that I was wondering, could they do it if they needed to? And there they were doing it. And we were reminded, and my colleague and friend Randy Moss, who I work with on Sunday NFL Countdown, says all the time, A.J. Brown is one of the best receivers in the NFL, and no one mentions it because they just don't use him the way Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Puka Nacua and the other guys who get more attention are used. But A.J. Brown can be as effective as any receiver in the NFL, and there he was doing it this weekend. So it was exciting to watch them doing it when they needed to in what I thought was a monster win over the Rams.
Yeah, Mike Greenberg's with us from GetUp, and you look at, Mike, the guys you just mentioned, and you would think that if these guys were featured in any other offensive system, they would be superstars, and yet it is one of the more bizarre Super Bowl winning and then Super Bowl favorite teams, right? How that you cannot quantify what they do because they're doing something that no one else has really done before them.
Yeah, the way they're running, do you mean by that the way they're running offense?
Right, yeah, the fact that you got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. If you put those two guys in Cincinnati, how many yards are they getting with Joe Burrow chucking it to them?
Most likely, and yet Joe Burrow's team didn't make the playoffs last year, and the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's the point that Rex Ryan makes all the time. Rex loves Jalen Hurts, and he says over and over again, Jalen Hurts is the most unselfish quarterback in the league because with those weapons, if he were more insistent on trying to do things that might not always be in the best interest of the team, he could easily be throwing for 250, 270, 290, 310 every single week. But that might not be the best way to go about trying to win games. So if you go back to week one, they won by him running with the football extremely effectively when Dallas was playing that shell and just not letting Saquon or the receivers beat them. He did it with his legs. The Kansas City game, that was really the defense finding a way to win that, making the big play, and Jalen and the push being the incredibly effective weapon that it was. And then this week they fall behind and he's got to bring them back. And sure enough, he puts on the cape and he leads them all the way back to an unbelievable win. So that I think Rex's point is well taken. Jalen Hurts' name doesn't come up when we talk about the best quarterbacks in football. No one mentions him when they mention Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And part of the reason, a big part of the reason for that is that he doesn't insist upon it. So it was less than a calendar year ago that we were wondering if the Nick Sirianni era was coming to an end and could this offense get anything done? And A.J. Brown is reading books on the sidelines and Sirianni's getting into it with fans. I mean, I lived through this as you did and as all Eagles fans did. I felt like they were legitimate questions in the moments that we were asking them. Looking back now, they all sound ridiculous, right? Right? History is written by the winners. They won, so now all of that sounds insane. But in the moment, it didn't. And so I think, they ultimately get the last laugh. And at this point, if you had to bet on someone to win the whole thing this year, I think you would be crazy not to bet on them.
Greeny, Mike Greenberg's with us. The book has Got Your Number, the greatest legends and the teams that made them. And I would guess.
Could I just quickly correct you? Got Your Number was a book we did a while ago. The book is
Got Your Legends, excuse me.
Got Your Number was the first book that we did a couple of years ago, and Got Your Legends is the new one, which went on sale yesterday, and it's a different concept. So the idea for anyone who likes sports history and likes sports debate and discussion is a simple one, but it was very painstaking to do. With Hembo's extraordinary research, we took every team, Mike, all 124 teams in the four major sports, in Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, all 124 of them, and we ranked them in terms of their overall success, championships, and cultural relevancy, ranked them from 1 through 124, top to bottom. And then we chose the Mount Rushmore of every team in sports. So the four franchise faces of every team in sports, from the best to the worst. So you can read it and debate and discuss whether you think we got the order right, whether we got the franchise faces right. And I wrote essays about every team and every every one of the legends involved. So there's a ton of sports history involved in it as well.
It's a great concept, and obviously it leads to so much debate. And I was going to bring up the fact that you're ranking these sports franchises, and here we might be living through it, right? The Eagles, probably this is the best version of the Eagles that, at least in my lifetime. I know the Andy Reid era, they never quite won that Super Bowl, but you had a lot of faces. But right now, we're in the moment. Are the Eagles fans currently in their moment?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the Eagles, I was there in Minneapolis the night they won their first ever Super Bowl, and what I still think was one of the most incredible Super Bowl games ever played. Tom Brady threw for 500 yards. His team did not punt, and the Eagles still won, which was, it's almost impossible to do. And I remember that was when I was between jobs. We had finished Mike and Mike, and we hadn't started Get Up. So SportsCenter sent me out there, and I was doing SportsCenter on the field starting about an hour and a half after the game ended. And the only people left in the stadium were Eagles fans who just weren't leaving. And the celebration, I could hear them singing the song, and I could hear them screaming and chanting. And I saw grown men and women crying because they had lived their whole lives and never seen this. And then, it sort of looked like it was going to fall apart a little bit. And then, boom, they bounce right back, and they make it to another Super Bowl, and then it ends in painstaking, heartbreaking fashion. And then now here they are a couple of years later, they come back and they win the whole thing, and they're the best team in sports, best team in the sport. So this is unquestionably the best era they've ever had.
Well, and we've lived through eras. I mean, you just talked about, the Mike and Mike era. During that time, the Patriots are what they are. Then the Chiefs have kind of become the next thing. And we're wondering if the Eagles can now usurp the Chiefs and become the next era of these great runs that we have seen in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, we throw around the word dynasty, and I think I personally feel like dynasty is something that you have to win 3 times to achieve, because there are too many teams that have won twice in all sports, too many teams that have won back-to-back, too many teams that have won 2 and 3 years. I don't think 2 championships constitutes a dynasty. I think 3 does, particularly in football, because 3 is so rare.
Yep.
The exhaustive list of quarterbacks that have won 3 or more Super Bowls in the history of the sport, is Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw, Patrick Mahomes, and Troy Aikman. That's it. That's the entire list. 5 guys in the whole history of the sport. So I think the Eagles, I would not count the one that they won in whatever year that was, 2018. I would not count that one with this. That can't be one era. So I think they're 2 championships away from being a dynasty. Because it's not quite close enough together, but they are certainly the team of this moment, and they're young enough and well organized. The organization is well run enough that I think they have a real chance to put themselves in that position for the next several years to come.
All right, got your legends ranking America's sports franchises and their most iconic figures. Of the 4 Philadelphia teams, which one's the highest? Do you remember?
Well, I can give you that. Let me look and see that. I opened it to the Eagles page to see if you wanted to guess who we chose as the 4 Eagles legends. So if you want to try and guess those, we can do it. And let me go back to the table here, and I'll say which one of the Philadelphia franchises rates the highest. Looking through the list here, I think it is the Eagles. Where are the 76ers? No, the Sixers are a little higher. The Sixers rank a little higher all time than the Eagles, but only by the tiniest little margin of difference.
All right, the Eagles players are tough because a lot of their great players come in an era that, like, a lot of people weren't born. Unless you put Reggie White, it's got to be one of them, right?
Yes.
All right, Bednarik is usually on people's list, although I'm not quite in that age bracket.
For sure.
All right.
Chuck Bednarik absolutely belongs. And he played from 49 to 62, 8-time Pro Bowl, 2-time champion, and considered the last 60-minute man. He absolutely belongs. So Bednarik and Reggie White is right.
All right, then a lot of people, you can start to get like a Steve Van Buren. Are you going down that road as someone back
the
that
other
far?
Two are much more recent.
All right.
Much more recent.
Much more recent. Brian Dawkins.
Yes.
Brian Dawkins, and then McNabb or McNabb? I'll go McNabb.
No, we're talking, super recent.
Are you talking about Jalen Hurts?
No, I'm talking about Jason Kelce.
Oh,
Jason
man.
Kelce, who I think when all is said and done might be the greatest. He was 6 times first-team All-Pro in his last 7 seasons. Obviously, sort of the creator, originator, or at least centerpiece of the most unstoppable play in recent football history in the tush push. Jason definitely belongs, not just because he's a colleague, but clearly I think he is in the conversation for the greatest players in the history of his position. So that is our choice for the Mount Rushmore of Eagles history. Bednarik, Reggie White, Brian Dawkins, and Jason Kelsey.
Do you ever think you'd be talking about an individual play as much as a play as vanilla as that in your career?
You know, it's extraordinary, and I fully understand why the Eagles and the Eagles fans feel defensive, because I'm positive that if I were sitting where they're sitting, I would feel like this was an attack on them, that it was somehow delegitimizing their greatness. And I'm here to say, as one that does not like the tush push at all, that I in no way hold that against the Eagles. It is within the rules, so do it. Everyone could do it, and if everyone could, they would. They can't because they don't have a quarterback who could squat a house and the rest of the offensive line and everything else. So I take nothing away from their greatness. There's literally zero demerit on the championship or on the pedigree or on the greatness of the Eagles. That said, it just to me is not what the sport was meant to be. Forward progress is a thing. When the pushing and pulling the ball carrier were both against the rules in the sport up until 2005, when because they decided it was too difficult to officiate, they removed pushing from the conversation. And so now the Eagles have figured out, well, if we can do that, let's do this. And it works. And God bless them. They're going to win another championship doing it. It'll be very interesting to see if this offseason the league does decide to make it against the rules. If so, it would be the ultimate flex for the Eagles to say, we came up with something so good, they had to change a rule to stop it. I have no problem with them feeling that way because it would be true. So I get the defensiveness of the Eagles and their fans, but I will have to admit, I am one of those who does not like the play.
All right. I know you got to run, Greeny. Don't forget the book, everybody. Check it out on Amazon, wherever you get your books. Got Your Legends, ranking America's sports franchises and their most iconic figures. Now, every Friday, Sal Palantonio joins me. I'm going to have to ask him if your 4 are his 4, because there's no one more Philadelphia than Sal Pal.
I know, which is amazing considering he's from Queens, but he is so he grew up in Queens, but he of course has been in Philadelphia for decades. He is the mayor of Philly, and I will be interested to hear if he disagrees with the take at all, or with that choice at all. And very quickly, if I could just mention, because I think it's important, that Amazon is doing a special deal while I'm doing this radio tour that I'm on, which will end tomorrow. If you are interested in the book, and we thank you as always for your support, if you are interested, they're doing a special price for anyone who listens through the radio. If you go on Amazon right now and you order the book, Got Your Legends, the author is me, Mike Greenberg, you will get it delivered in a day at a special price, so at a discount. So if you are interested, Got Your Legends on Amazon for a special discount, just because I'm doing this radio tour, and I'm grateful to them for doing that, and I'm grateful for anyone who is interested in sharing in this conversation with us, because it's been great fun.
All right, Greeny, we always appreciate it, man, and good luck with the book and everything. We'll be watching, and let's see how this Eagles Buccaneers 2-3-0 teams going on Sunday right here on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for having me on. That is a really interesting game, by the way. The Bucs are banged up, and they're on a short week. The kid they have, they're going to be without Mike Evans, which obviously is a big loss. The kid Abuka is so good. We did a ton on him leading up to the draft. He's really good. I think missing Evans will really hurt them, their ability to exploit what the Eagles' weakness in the secondary might be. So if I had to pick it right now, I'd say Eagles 27-21.
27-21. The Eagles are a house of horrors down there in Tampa Bay. All right, we'll see how it goes, and enjoy the rest of the football season with the Jets too.
Oh, well, there is no enjoyment whatsoever to be had in this football season with the Jets. We're playing Miami on Monday.
I know.
0-3 against 0-3. I think we should just agree loser gets the first pick in the draft.
Let me ask you.
Let's call off the rest of the season.
I'm the program director. I have to pick the Monday night game to air. Which one do I go with? Jets, Dolphins, or Denver, Cincinnati?
Oh, I'd go with Denver, Cincinnati for sure. The Broncos probably should have, certainly could have, and in one case absolutely should have 1. They should be at minimum 2-1. They probably should be 3-0. By the time the season is over, they will be heard from again, and in a significant way. They're a good team. Cincinnati, what happened to them on Sunday was a disaster, and I think if it's a big game, because if they don't look much better under Jake Browning, then I think that thing could get ugly in a hurry. I don't know what's going to happen. You're paying $1 trillion to 2 wide receivers, and you've lost your quarterback for the year. So I think that's an interesting and very important game for both teams.
All right, we'll put that game on Monday night then. The Jets game's out against the Dolphins. Mike Greenberg, everybody, pleasure.
The pleasure's mine. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Mike Greenberg, everybody. Get Up and the book, as he said, if you want to get it right now, you get a discount on that. Got Your Legends, ranking America's sports franchises and their most iconic figures. He went with B. Doc, Reggie White, Chuck Bednarik, and Jason Kelsey. They were the 4.
I'm wondering when Saquon maybe pushes his way onto that list, or Hurts.
Hurts is the one when I thought he said super recent,
Right.
like last year recent. Yeah. Hurts has got to be on that list soon, though, right?
Has to be.
All right, Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN. And we'll make Greeny today our unsportsmanlike moment of the day, brought to you by Whitehorse RV Center. Find fall closeout savings for 2025s and select pre-owned RVs. Shop now before they're gone at Whitehorse RV. Your RV adventure starts here. Greeny used to do the morning show, so he could be our unsportsmanlike moment of the day. We'll do a Mike and Mike moment of the day, a old school. We're doing. We gave away the Ron John sticker earlier.
That's right.
We went nostalgia.
And the guy was happy about it. I mean,
I said, first person who shows up and says, I want the Ron John sticker. The guy walked right up, got the sticker. Now, somebody tried to bribe me with a trade for a T-shirt.
Well, what's the T-shirt? Do we know?
I don't know. When he gets here, I'm going to have to say, where's that T-shirt? I want to see what it is.
You already gave away the sticker, though.
Yeah. All right. We're live at Maynards at Margate. Hey, don't let the weather bother you, all right? We're having a good time. We're hanging out inside, underneath. Now, we're not inside Maynards. We're outside, but inside the outside, if that makes sense. Just come to the Starlight Garden. You'll see us outside hanging out. And the bar is full. The food is flowing. I just had some little lunch. You had a little lunch.
Very good.
Coming up next, Geoff Mosher, Football at 4. What's the latest on Nolan Smith's injury? That's next. And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by the Fanatics Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We are at Maynards in Margate. Now, I see a Saquon Barkley jersey. We got a Kevin Cobb old school jersey behind us, except for he ripped the name Cobb off the jersey. I like that. And then we've seen a Dawkins jersey. I want to see some more of the Eagles jerseys. We're giving away a pair of tickets to the Eagles-Giants game at MetLife Stadium later on today. Come on and hang out at Maynards in Margate here. Of course, the Sports Bash live on location. Maynards has Fall Fest this weekend. Margate Fall Fest is happening this weekend. They've also got the Eagles-Buccaneers game with the sound on and the NFL ticket. And Phillies playoff games will have the sound on, you can be assured. Now, that is key, PG. You know, if you don't have the sound on, you're on my blacklist.
That's right. You got to have the sound on.
You are off my list. If you do not have the sound, I cannot watch the game at your establishment. Maynards has the sound.
So you will be here for one of the games?
Maybe. Depends on what day they fall on, what my schedule looks like. I know on October 4th, I will be watching Game 1, Phillies playoffs, DS. I will be in Dewey Beach.
At a place that has the sound on.
Yeah, we went there last year. We're kind of making this like a new tradition with the Red October. We take the ferry over to Dewey Beach. We'll watch Game 1 over there, spend the weekend down there in Dewey, and say hello to our Dewey Beach listeners. We have a lot of listeners over there in Delaware. So let's bring in Geoff Mosher, though, from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, as he joins us live on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Some breaking news today with the Eagles. Mosher, I don't know, Nolan Smith on the injured list, and this one kind of crept out of right field, right? I mean, there was no talk about this when the game was over. So, number one, the impact in your mind of losing Nolan Smith. We talked about the pass rush on Monday. Hard to kind of quantify it. As you did research after your hit on Monday's show, they didn't have a lot of third and long pass rushing situations. But how effective will this defense be without Nolan Smith?
You know what? Nolan's a good player. He does a lot of the dirty work as an edge rusher. You know, he's good against the run, takes on those pulling guards really well. We're only 3 weeks into the season. I thought he played well against the Cowboys, decently against the Chiefs. You know, and again, the Rams game was not really a game meant for pass rushes. The Rams really ran the ball quite a bit and faced very few third and long scenarios. So obviously you miss a guy who's a starting edge. I think that the Darius Smith signing now looks really, really wise by Howie Roseman. And the way he's been able to play and the number of snaps he's been able to play without having a training camp or an OTA, he can get in there next to Jalix Hunt and give you that two-man rotation or two-man starter, and obviously Uche will work more in. Maybe you'll probably, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see if you see Ojolari up now or Ubo Okonkwo or maybe even Patrick Johnson for special teams. I don't know if you're going to see that much difference of a rotation other than Vic will go to 3, and he's got Jalix Hunt, and he's got Darius Smith, and he's got Josh Uche right now, and that seems to be doing the job, but certainly it will be tested this week because the Bucs have a beat-up offensive line. And if we're talking about the pass rush really not getting home for the Eagles, then we're going to talk about the injuries and just the overall pass rush state of it.
So how do you think the snaps kind of go? I mean, you had Jalix Hunt before. It was kind of like Zadarius Smith, Jalix Hunt. You know, does Hunt flip side? How do you see them replacing Nolan Smith?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zadarius Smith steps into that role, and he starts opposite Jalix Hunt. Now, Hunt is still coming along, so it really opens up the door for Uche to get more playing time. And, you know, I don't know if it's going to be like a 33% snap share among all three, but it wouldn't surprise me if it looked like that at the end of the game, or even if they got a fourth in there. I'm curious to see if Vic does anything differently because of this adjustment to the heat and humidity. They're flying out Friday. They're trying to acclimate. I did feel like they got worn down last year. Now, they also got worn down because they were on the field so much because they were a completely different defense. You guys remember that. They couldn't stop anything for that game. And this game, you would think will be different, but I am curious to see if for this game and in that environment, if Vic does want to get a an extra edge and maybe even an extra interior alignment active to be a part of a rotation.
Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. It's our football at 4 every day at 4 o'clock. We give you Eagles football, and the Eagles today, Nolan Smith placed on the injured list. He wasn't the only one, but probably the most important one. When you look at the Eagles defense, where do you put Nolan Smith in terms of the importance to what makes their defense what their defense is?
Ask me that again. You're asking me how important Nolan Smith is to what the defense is?
Yeah, if you lost Myles Garrett, your best edge rusher, that team, that messes them up big time. Where is he in terms of the Eagles defense and what they want from their defense?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I never want to minimize anybody's injury, but I don't think it's as I don't want to get snake bit by saying this, but I don't think it's as impactful now as, say, if the Eagles lost like Quinyon Mitchell, right, or even Zach Vaughn. Only because
and that's essentially what I'm asking. There is it seems that it feels like they can handle losing him more than Jalen Carter or Quinyon Mitchell, right?
Yes, I think so. They should be able to, and that's the whole thing. I mean, you look at it; they've got 5 edge rushers, a fifth, 6. I won't say 7 with Patrick Johnson. He's mostly a special teamer, but between Hunt and between Zadarius Smith and between Uche and between Ojolari and Okoronkwo, they've got that's 5 right there, and 6 would be obviously Nolan Smith. But they've got a bunch of guys who played NFL caliber edge and have had a certain degrees of success. So it is an area where they've got some bodies. What they lack, though, and this is where your question fits in, and it might have been a question even if Nolan Smith is healthy, is do they got a dog 12 to 13 to 14, 15 sack kind of guy like you've seen from either Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat has been a really menacing guy in the past. That was the question going into the year about it. So that's why it's hard to really know how much you're losing with Nolan, other than we know that you're losing a pretty good player, but a game changer, I don't know. And the guys that they're replacing him with are theoretically guys who done some things in the NFL too.
Yeah, and by the way, according to reports, is a strained tricep. He's not getting surgery. This is from the Super Bowl. He aggravated that injury. He had the tricep surgery a week after the Super Bowl. He aggravated it. So the plan is to let him rest and return after the bye. So I guess, Moshe, there is no guarantee that he makes it all the way through this season, that this couldn't be a factor somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I mean, we're learning a lot now about this injury, at least I am. I mean, because Brandon Graham retore his, after the Super Bowl, right? Because he wasn't fully ready to return. He put it all on the line to play in the Super Bowl. Did great. And then wound up re-tearing the triceps. And now you're seeing Nolan Smith, who was medically cleared. Now, let me be clear on that. He was deemed 100%. He was, I think, wearing a sleeve at some points earlier in the spring, but I mean, he was cleared to go and has been playing, re-injure the same area. So it's clearly one of those injuries that is tricky and can be aggravated pretty easily.
Moshe, obviously he wasn't the only guy. Jacorian Bennett and Darius Cooper. Cooper, obviously a smaller role. Bennett doesn't have a huge role, but also Adoree Jackson got banged up last week, had a groin. Now, he did practice, I think, today. But you're starting to see the battle of attrition come in here for Philadelphia, and you wonder, is Kaylee Ringo the next guy? They did also elevate Eli Ricks, and if you wonder if that spot is going to eventually, you feel like you got your thumb in the hole there, and you're just waiting for the leak to spring.
Yeah, actually, I think with Eli Ricks, they just brought him back to the practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's on the 53. The guy who got signed to the 53 was Mark Sets, but I think it's interesting. Vic said something the other day in the press conference that was sort of like made me scratch. I didn't know what to make of it. Somebody asked him about his cornerback depth, and he made a remark that he told Keely Ringo that to not get down on himself, that he's going to have to play a role. And at the time, this is just maybe yesterday or the day before, I'm thinking, when is he going to play a role? I mean, he's buried behind not only the 2 starters, maybe it was you who asked me on Monday, but not only 2 starters, but also the number 3 corner And then McWilliams, you never know what was going on there. But, you had Bennett, you had Adoree Jackson, and you had Quinyon Mitchell. But now I feel like Vic was basically foreshadowing to us something that we weren't going to find out until today, and that Keegan really might have to play a role, especially since Adoree got banged up a little bit in the last game.
By the way, Nickerson is the one that was elevated. Ricks to the practice squad, Nickerson to the 53. All right, so today Nick Sirianni just spoke a little while ago, and he was asked about what are you seeing on film in the running game. You're starting to hear a lot of the questions about how conservative they are. They're getting blitzed a lot here. Is this like something that you think is like busting at the seams, or do the Eagles say, don't care, we'll be as boring as we want to be?
No, I think the Eagles are smart, and they can see the trend that's been developing of how teams are playing them with two deep safeties on first and second downs and coming after them. I mean, when you see a team like the Rams, who were blitzing at 12%, which is one of the lowest in the league, I think third lowest in the league, all of a sudden doing things that they were doing and blitzing at close to 40%, that other teams are trying to do something different. So you can't just do the same thing. And I'd be really, really surprised if they came out and just tried to execute the same play calls that they have been in the same order and thinking everything's going to be fine. It wouldn't surprise me if they felt the need to come out throwing a little bit more on first and second down to open up the run game instead of vice versa like they've been doing.
All right, Moshe, you got a tough game this week. You obviously two teams 3-0. Buccaneers, they've been winning close games. The Eagles have been kind of scratching and clawing here, but this is the Jalen Hurts 1-4 against the Bucs, including playoffs. But he's had a lot of different reasons why they've lost this game. Is this a bad matchup for them being on the road here, circumstance those losses in the past, or is this Bucs team another team that could give you problems?
Well, they can definitely give you problems. The weird thing is, it just seems like neither team, when they play this game, this is about, how we talked about the Cowboys game where it's almost infrequent anymore that Jalen Hurts gets to face Dak Prescott. Well, it's almost infrequent that the Bucs and Eagles play each other without having, massive amounts of injuries. The Bucs offensive line, if you look at what their starting offensive line, what was intended to be and what it will be on Sunday, you're going to have all five linemen in a different place than where they were originally intended to start. Because of 2 or 3 injuries. Yeah. And then of course, Mike Evans is not going to be able to play. So by the way, let me amend that. If Tristan Wirfs does come back and play, he'll play left tackle, then that will be one of the five that is, supposed to play where he's supposed to. But we have to see if he makes it there. Same thing with Godwin. So they're beat up on the O-line. They lost Elijah Cansey, a really good defensive tackle for the season, I think. And then they're just, beat up at wide receiver with Evans and maybe Godwin not coming back. We'll have to see that. And like we just talked about all the injuries that the Eagles are dealing with. So first of all, it's still two really good teams, two undefeated teams, and two teams that have really kind of cornered the market this year on figuring out ways to win games, like gutting them out in the fourth quarter. So it's always going to be fun. I think the weather clearly will help favor the Bucs. But the Bucs aren't throwing the ball around like they did last year when Baker had more than 40 touchdowns. They're almost more of a defensive team, and they're not running the ball very well. So it almost feels like both these teams go into this game sort of like, man, we're 3-0, we're good, we have a history of being good, but we'd really love to correct our mistakes pretty quickly here,
Yeah, well, and you look at you mentioned it, the fact that they have these weapons in the pass game, and they're not having the same success throwing the football that they have, yet they're still 3-0. I wonder how much the Eagles took from that second half and kind of look at that as a kind of a. You might have been the one that said that. Were you on Monday saying that this is like the game where they kicked the 61-yard field goal? It's kind of like that jumping off point to the season, kind of like finding a groove in the season. If that second half offensively makes Kevin Batula feel a little bit more confident in his abilities to kind of unpeel the onion to a different layer a little bit.
I think as a staff, they have to think that way.
Yeah.
I don't think they really have much of a choice. And I think if they want Saquon Barkley to get some guys out of the box and off of him and be able to be the run team that they love to be, they do have to throw the ball a little bit more. And taking that a little further, Mike, I think that means that even if because the difficulty of that is that you're sort of playing into Todd Bowles' hands, because Todd Bowles wakes up every morning at whatever time, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and the first thing he does is draw up a blitz. That's who he is. He can't stop thinking of different blitzes, and it's not the same blitz. He's not just going to throw you like a 5-man rush with a linebacker, right? He's going to put like 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, only send 4, drop 3. I mean, he just messes up your protection scheme. He's brilliant, honestly. I watch a lot of tape, and some of the things he does are mind-boggling to me. I just have all the respect in the world for how he does it. So it's hard to say, I want to get my pass game going this week when you know that means you're going to have like all these bodies like flying at you left and right. But I think the important thing for the Eagles is not to view any kind of early struggle as a reason to not throw the ball. You know, like you're good at it. And yeah, they're going to come at you, but so are the Rams. So if you can, you might take a sack here, you may get an incompletion, a hurry throw, but hey, if you can hit 2 or 3 down the field to Brown or Smith, then you make up for that. And I do think that they've got to figure a way to do that.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about it all the time. Like if you put this offensive talent in other systems or other teams, like it almost feels like they would score like 35 points a game, but for whatever reason they choose not to be that team until they feel like being that team. And it's almost like we have this feeling of you can't just flip the switch on whenever you feel like it, but the Eagles say otherwise, right? They're just like, we can if we feel like it.
I mean, they've done it before. I mean, sometimes they do it week to week. You know, last year they had a couple games where it was like, oh my God, you know, what are you doing offensively? The quarterback is not looking like seeing obvious receivers open right in front of him, but they, you know, somehow gut out of it. And then the next week they play the Steelers. They come out throwing, no huddle, up tempo. Hurts completes like 70% of his passes. Brown deep, Smith deep, and you're like, how is it that you just did that against the Steelers, who have one of the best defenses, you know, yearly every year? Not this year, but in general, but. You couldn't do that to like the Jaguars or some the last 3 teams you played. I'm done sort of trying to figure it out, like when it's going to happen and when it's not going to happen. I think that game against the Rams is about as good of an example of, you know what, you might think it's never going to happen, and then bam, it comes in droves, and then vice versa. You may think, all right, this is the week. Playing the Cowboys, they're all beat up in the secondary. They're going to, and then they struggle. Yeah, so who knows?
And you know, fans watch games and people watch games, and the observation is that in your mind, you are thinking of how to win every game the best way possible. And sometimes these teams are lining things up for 3 and 4 and 5 weeks down the road, right? And it's like, hey, we didn't practice this group of plays this week, so we know we have it in our arsenal, but we're just not using it right now.
Yeah, it would be nice. Nice to pull out something the opponent hasn't seen, because it seems like opponents are doing that to the Eagles, you know, left and right each week, trying to hit them with something that they're not expecting.
And the Eagles are stubbornly like, well, we have this in our back pocket, but we're not going to show you because we still think we can beat you without showing you that.
Yeah. Listen, I think sometimes when you're a success, I mean, the Eagles have won 18 of 19 games, right? So going back to last year, which is in this day and age, that's
crazy.
That's incredible. Like, I'd have to go back and look and see if the Patriots did that under the Tom Brady area. I mean, I know they went undefeated one year, so maybe they probably did, but that's what the company that we're talking about here. And so it's hard for them probably to hear somebody say, hey, you got to switch it up and try a few different things. But I mean, clearly you do. You always have to evolve. You always have to adapt.
Well, and the question, you know, the last question that Sirianni got asked today was the disconnect when you hear the word conservative, that there's a disconnect from, you know, the fans of and by the way, AJ and Hurts using that word, and the Eagles coaching staff saying, I don't know. I don't see us as conservative.
Yeah, you know, but I also think that they're just not trying to feed into any narratives right now. I really think that. I think you also heard him say, you know, we keep, you know, what we do in house. We have a plan, and
right.
So I don't really put too much. I don't think of right now that this coaching staff is at odds with its personnel on what they want to do. I do think there are times that the coaching staff wants to play to the strengths and eliminate the weaknesses of the personnel. So they do what they do.
Yeah.
And sometimes the players may not like that, you know? I mean, you've seen the players finger point each other in the past. Like, we should be doing this better. No, we should be doing that better.
Yeah.
That happens over the course of the season.
Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast. Check that out on all podcasting platforms, InsideTheBirds.com, and every day on Football at 4 right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. They're going down a day early, too, Moshe. Maybe they'll hang out down on Clearwater Beach and get themselves some grouper sandwiches.
Well, maybe. I've heard that there's some establishments on Dale Mabry that people like to go to. Hey, real quick, Mike, on Philly Voice, either later today or tomorrow, and then even on the Inside the Birds podcast, I really took a real deep dive because Greg Cosell said on Inside the Tape, which came out today, that Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter did not play well at all in run defense, which is ironic because he said in the first half and into the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, totally different. And obviously those two guys won the game by blocking the field goals. But then I went and looked at it today. I looked at 17 runs that the Rams had that were 5 yards or more. And Greg nailed it, man. I mean, those guys were getting really pushed back, driven off the ball, getting out of their gaps. Very surprising. You can't do that against the Bucs. They like to run the ball. They've struggled with it this year, but they're going to continue to try and do it, and it's going to be hot. You can't lose your technique and your leverage, like I saw Jordan Davis do on tape quite a bit in the first half when that heat settles in. So something to watch for.
Definitely good stuff. Check that out at Philly Voice. By the way, there's a Darren Sproles jersey in the house. You see that? You don't see that every day,
nice.
do you? Nice, a little Darren Sproles jersey in the house. By the way, real quick, Moshe, I brought this up earlier. I want to get your take on it before we leave. Nakobe Dean is supposed to come back, next week or the week after? Could they possibly use Jahad Campbell to utilize him in a Nolan Smith way?
I mean, we have to see first, because Nakobe Dean has to do a lot. He'll be able to be back, but he hasn't even been practicing. You know, it's not like he's going to come back and then just get on the field. This guy has not been able to do anything all throughout the spring and the summer. Right. So in my mind, he's going to need a couple of weeks just to get himself back into shape. And at that point, you know, I don't know if you're going to want, depending on what the Eagles are doing, you don't take a first-round pick who's playing well off the field. Like you said, do you move to edge? Maybe, but I don't know that he's going to be any better at the edge right now than what they're getting from the three guys. But there's certainly some opportunity that potentially could exist. But the number one thing that has to happen is Nakobe Dean has to show he can still play that position well coming off another big injury to the lower body area.
I always remember Micah Parsons, his rookie year, like when they had to move him as an edge rusher out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you know.
I guess that worked out well for Micah.
Yeah, they never moved him back. They never moved him out of that role, really. All right, Moshe, we'll catch up to you on Monday, man.
All right, take care.
I know we're going to do a Mosher mailbag today on a Wednesday, but the injury to Nolan Smith and all that kind of the dynamics of the day. And Nolan Smith, for those of you just tuning in, he is now on the injured list. He will be out at least 4 weeks, and they're thinking even longer than that. But when you're on the injured list, you can't play for the 4 weeks here. So Nolan Smith is out. That's the big news today. Sports Bash Live at Maynards in Margate. You know, it's one of those days, man. It looks like a rain delay, but we're ready to go. Looks like the tarp's off the field here.
Tarp is off the field.
Ready to go, man. We're giving away Eagles-Giants tickets. Now, here's the deal. Someone's going to win the Eagles-Giants tickets. You get 2 tickets to the game. Transportation to and from MetLife Stadium. The whole bus will take you up there. It's going to be all Eagles fans on the bus. And this tailgate party, my gosh, food, drinks, DJ, all day long. It is an all-day affair. This isn't like you're rolling up to MetLife and just walking into the game.
And also probably a 2-touchdown win against the Giants in Jackson Dart, yeah. So
that's probably going to – you get a double-digit favorite that day?
Well, there's a 16.5-point spread this weekend. I think it's the Saints game against Buffalo.
Jeez.
16.5.
Casey Joyner, by the way, one thought every game coming up tonight at 5 o'clock on the way. Earnshaw's in the house. Knicks Nuggets. Everybody's favorite segment. The Nuggets are next here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, 4:33 Sports Bash time for the Nuggets. They're brought to you by the Hub Gear that works as hard as you do. Nick's Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw is host of the Shift podcast and is producer of the Locker Room Weekends on 97.3 ESPN. Violation by the Nuggets last night, PG.
I saw this on Twitter.
Yeah? You caught it right away, right?
What?
You brought it up to me today.
I did, yep.
Yeah, it was a total violation from the Nugget man. And, by the way, we were talking earlier about the ABS that's going to be in the league next year. They have entered in. But I saw another retort that the catchers are not happy about it as well. That was another big story, that catchers do not want the ABS. Pitchers do not want the ABS. So we act like this is like the easiest thing. How come they're not doing it? You got a lot of pushback from pitchers and catchers about this announcement. We got all that and more. Nolan Smith injury. Edmundo Sosa's back. Let's see what Nick has today for today's edition of the Nuggets violation. Nick?
All right, so we got to address this violation because I know exactly what you two are talking about. You two boomers over there at Maynards having a good time. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think this has been something on Twitter that's been going on as well. When it comes to the suit, and it's the shoes, wasn't it? It was the shoes.
The shoes.
Yeah. What's wrong with the shoes?
Well, I mean, come on. Everybody's wearing sneakers with shoes.
Yes.
Come on.
But the shoes were not fresh.
Yeah.
They were not freshies. They were
dirty
they
sneakers.
were little,
there was a
bottom of the
reason for
closet.
that. The rain going on, coming in. Listen, I'm waist up. I'm waist up. When I'm doing sideline, I'm waist up. Usually I did bring the J's, but I left them in
Waist
the
up was
car.
good.
It was raining. Didn't want to get them messy.
Solid suit game.
waist up
if
was
you're going to
tight.
go
I like
sneakers, like people, I feel like the people going sneakers with the suit are trying too hard.
No.
If you're going to go suit, do the whole thing.
Yeah,
go
just
get a
go
good
all the
shoe.
way. Yeah.
Like if you're going to go out of your way to go suit, don't half-ass it with a pair of dirty white sneakers.
Listen, they're not that dirty. It was the
you
lighting.
had New Balances on. It wasn't like you had some like cool
Yeah,
sneaker.
you weren't wearing any Kendrick Lamar Jordans or something.
Yeah.
Listen, the New Balances
They're
are totally in right now. Totally in. It's an in shoe right now, by the way. I did have the J's on me, on my person. However, did not bring them out last night due to the rain. Didn't want to get the J's all wet. I had bright white Jordans. I was like, I'm going to save them for another time. So I think it's in. I'm all in on the sneakers and the suit. I think it looks fresh. By the way, I first started this because of Rodney McLeod, by the way. I'm going to credit former Eagle Rodney McLeod. He has the sneaker ball. I went there a few years back, wore the J's to that one. The suit, it looks fantastic when you're wearing the cool sneakers. I'm so in. And the New Balances, listen, they're not my greatest pair. I wouldn't say they were my greatest pair to wear with the suit last night. I'll give you that. But I do have some of the cool sneakers with the suit. I'm all in sneakers and the suit. You don't need to wear these nice fancy shoes. And when you're doing sideline, you need some sneakers. You're going up and down, doing some interviews. I'm all in on the sneaker and the suit.
And the sideline, I mean, they don't show you full.
No.
They just show you the waist up. So
Waist
you
up.
could wear flip-flops.
Yeah.
You could do flip-flops.
I can wear
if you want.
open-toed
It's
shoes,
like,
Bill.
When I used to do the TV, I would have shorts on underneath the
Right.
desk there.
There you
But,
go.
If I'm going to go suit, I'm either wearing, I'm not a big suit guy. The suit to me,
This was a big argument before.
the suit's outdated. I agree.
It is outdated.
Then we got to say part of the suit is outdated when you're wearing non-sneakers. If you're not wearing sneakers, that's outdated.
Well,
That's
my
the
point,
look.
I feel like people going suit today with the sneakers are now trying too hard. It's like, everybody's wearing sneakers with the suit because that's the way to do it. Now, if I'm going suit, you're getting a high-end shoe from me.
See, I've seen the opposite happen. The opposite I've seen happen is people think it's more lazy when you go with the sneaker. That's the argument I've heard from that side. Now, did you see the picture of the Ryder Cup? They went no tie and sneakers. All the American players did. Most of them did.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they went white sneakers.
Well, listen, the whole thing, like you see these guys on TV now, they're wearing suits, and then they're not tailored to the sneak, and they look sloppy. Is that a word?
I don't know. It sounds like a good one.
Sloppy.
Sloppy, yeah.
Like the pants not tailored to the sneaker. It's almost like, no one's looking at no, the first thing you look at somebody is their footwear.
Not when you're on TV. I didn't even see it when I was on television.
Why don't you wear just a nice Big 5 polo, Nick?
They didn't give me one yet. I still haven't earned the polo yet. Haven't earned it, I guess. I got to earn the polo.
Get your rookie stripe off, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I got a new tie. I wore the new tie yesterday. All right, let's get into the Nuggets. I guess that was Nugget number one. My suit game. I think my suit game's fantastic with the sneakers. It's awesome.
By the way,
Cole
from LBI said white sneaker with your suit was ugly.
Oh, Cole, come on, man. Get on the side of the shoe.
With the suit. Shoes with the suit.
Shoes with the suit. All right. Nugget number one. Let's start with the Phillies. Last night, tough loss. JT's X-ray comes back negative, so that's a positive sign. You don't need your catcher going out before the postseason. You know, you're stuck with Marshawn. Marshawn's been good, but you don't want to go in the postseason with Marshawn and Stubby as your two catchers. Thank goodness JT's okay. But we talked about this yesterday, and the bullpen is an obvious concern. You know, you texted last night when I got in my car. You would have gave the $15 back. You would have gotten the refund with Joan Duran struggling, giving up the game, right?
PG was at the game last night, by the way.
Oh,
Yep.
Did you stay?
I stayed
No,
until
he
Duran
did not.
blew the game, and then I left at the delay.
Stayed until the blown save.
Yep.
You didn't stay through the delay? It's all right.
No, I was
It's
not
all right.
doing that.
I don't mind. Listen, I don't hate you for it. All right. With that,
Rain
though,
delays are different than Eagles games. First night of the season, Cowboys, Eagles. You don't leave that game early.
Oh, here we
that's
go.
True. That game, that Eagles game is the opener, the banner. He's at a meaningless regular season game playing.
Who's
out the
just
street.
ripping Nick today? Is it just rip Nuggets today? Ripping the suit or ripping my decision making? I think I've made some pretty
Do
good
it to
decisions
yourself,
so
though.
far.
Just like those Phillies, you do it to yourself.
We're truth tellers here.
All right. As I was saying, I guess, David Robertson's another guy that we should be concerned about with the bullpen. Duran's blowing saves. He's throwing too many curveballs. David Robertson has an 11.25 ERA, has given up 5 earned runs, 6 total with 2 walks, 8 hits, and 3 home runs allowed in 5 appearances. I mean, in his last 5 outings. They're struggling in the bullpen right now. That's a little bit of a concern. Does that go along with what we talked about yesterday on the Nuggets that they need to get some time off?
Robertson shouldn't be a guy running out of gas, though. He didn't pitch for
I know.
75% of the season. So that's one thing that's a little concerning. The rest of the guys, I mean, I thought, last night, I thought was a situation where I will blame Rob Thompson for this one, because sometimes the script goes the way that it goes. But when you get in the middle of the inning, this is where Rob Thompson's intuition has to take over. And when they went lefty, the Phillies didn't counter with lefty. They kept Robertson in the game. You had Tanner Banks. So they had the foresight to have Banks warming up. But when they went to the left-hander, the Phillies didn't counter with the left-hander. So they theoretically may have been able to. Now, we don't know if they brought in Banks, whether he would have got the out or not. But you're playing percentages here. The Marlins played percentages. They put a lefty batter up for their home run leader last night and decided to hit for him with a lefty. The Phillies decided to keep Robertson in the game, and I thought that was a mistake by Rob Thompson in that moment, because that's now, overall last night, I think Robertson generally, you have a 3-0 lead. You get to the 8th inning. You need to get 6 outs. And in the playoffs, Robertson's going to be a guy that you're going to need to get those outs right there. That's concerning that you can't get from Robertson to Duran. But the ultimate thing is you got to Duran with a 1-run lead. And, again, he could not hold it. And we're not talking about a playoff-level team here. We're talking about the 8-hole hitter on the Miami Marlins who took you deep.
Yeah. Listen, they are struggling at the moment. And it's a little bit of a concern.
Up to me. So, listen, I'm not a big blame the manager guy for, lineups, pitching, that stuff. But I will say last night, that's a manager thing. That's where the manager does have an impact.
True.
Was in that moment where the pitching decision is in the middle of the inning. That's where Robertson should have been pulled from that game, and they go to Banks because they went lefty. You could have countered with your lefty because you did have the lefty warming up there. So I would have liked to have seen how that inning would have gone had Banks come in to face the lefty in that spot.
And really, the quality of baseball, too, is not good right now. It's base paths, base running, error by Weston Wilson. That kind of stuff has to get cleaned up in the next week and a half.
No doubt.
Yeah,
well, and Weston Wilson can't be, he's not going to play second base in a playoff game.
No, and with this team, it seems like they're just trying to get right to the playoffs. Like, this is a team that looks like, all right, just get us to the postseason already. Let's end this week.
And by the way,
that's what it looks like.
Kerkering, he's a guy that I can't trust right now. Sadly, I like Kerkering, but I can't trust him right now. And
Well, did you
you're
see? Did you see last night, Mike? I mean, we talked about it yesterday. When he comes in with runners on, I mean, I don't trust him whatsoever at the moment. Like, I can't have him come into a game with runners on. That not even just start an inning. I don't trust him right now, even just to start an inning. But to start an inning with a runner on, I don't even trust him there. And we saw him struggle again last night.
Yeah, well, Kerkering's a guy that they're going to have to get right, which means this week they have to try to get him into some games here and get him, like, I don't know if you got to tweak something or do something or find something in his mechanics, but he cannot throw consistent strikes right now, and that's a problem.
No, that's a problem. I'll tell you what's not a problem, though. Nick Castellanos coming off the bench with an absolute awesome at-bat there last night, Mike. I mean, he comes up, ties the ball game up for you, gets back into it, right? He was down 0-2. It's like, here we go. Another typical Cassie at bat. Just throw it low and away, and this game will be over. No, he comes back into the ball game, battles back in that singular at bat, and it was a nice, refreshing thing to see from Castellanos coming off the bench last night and doing that. Why can't we get more of those at bats?
I gave him his props earlier today. I said, one guy, he gave you a professional at bat last night, right?
Yeah.
It was not a throwaway at bat. It was a professional at bat. And hey, that's where if you give me that at bat, I can find a role for you on a playoff roster. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's one of those things where if you can give me that professional at bat and you can be the guy that pinch hits like that in a playoff series, that's the at bat you don't see from him. He's just swinging out of his shoes, swinging at that slider down and away. That was a good at bat. He fouled pitches off. He held off pitches, and then he comes up with a big hit. Now, he's had a couple big hits recently here, and, he has had good at bats. That's the thing. He had professional at bats. So I got to give him his flowers for that.
Yeah. I think the fans and Casty, we need a little couples therapy. We all need to make up. Playoffs are going to start here.
All right, no kumbaya here, PG.
Yeah,
no kumbaya. We're not doing kumbaya.
We need to make up with Nick Castellanos.
Hey, listen, I will give you credit where credit is due. I have no problem. Castellanos, I've been tough on because I liked the Castellanos signing. He's been disappointing to me. But this last at bat last night and the one they had on Friday night, he's done his job, and he deserves credit for it.
He has been hitting well in the month of September. I will give him that. I'm still upset a little bit at the comment.
That's a good start. That's a good start.
He's been much better in September. Over 300 in the month. He's been much better. I'll give him props where they're due. But he won't be a Philly next year. I can guarantee you that. Guarantee he's not going to be back. Anyway, before I get out of here, one more nugget. Third nugget of the day. Sixers released the uniforms. The throwback 2001 unis. The one uniform Mike Gill enjoys is this uniform. They had put a whole video out. Maxey, Edgecombe, Embiid, the whole team, whole squad was wearing the new uniforms, or the old uniforms, I should say, the throwbacks. Now, I know you guys aren't jersey guys per se, but if you had to buy a jersey with this uniform, you can't pick Iverson. No picking Iverson or
Mutombo.
Someone on this current
Sixer. Right.
Yeah.
Current six.
Well, if I'm going with somebody on this current team, I'm an Embiid guy. I go Embiid.
I'll go Maxey.
I'm going Edgecombe. I think Edgecombe's the guy.
You know what?
You got to go rookie.
I'm out on 77 on a basketball player.
It looks sick. The 77, it's different. It's out there. I love it. Everyone's gotten Embiid and Maxey jersey. You go Edgecombe. You go with the future.
It is going to be weird seeing 77 out there stealing the ball.
And to be fair, 21 is my favorite jersey number. So Embiid,
there you go.
21. I go 21.
I think Iverson's still the go-to because I don't know. I feel a little weird. I don't know if I'll get the new. I'll get like maybe the T-shirt, the hat, all the accessories. I don't know if I'm going jersey with the throwbacks on this squad. I don't know if I would go do that.
Isn't this jersey the one that you think of when you think about a Sixers jersey, right? If you were to close your eyes and think of a Sixers player, he's
think
wearing
of
that
Iverson,
jersey,
though.
right?
Well, this is my college years. Like the Iverson era was my college years of the first time that they were good. Like the Sixers growing up, I had the Barkley era when I was in middle school. But when I got to college, when you can really talk, with your boys about it, this is the jerseys they were wearing. So the Sixers in 01, when I'm in college, like that era right there, they were the best team. The Sixers, the Phillies stunk. The Eagles were just starting to get good. The Flyers were pretty good, but they haven't changed their jerseys like forever.
No.
But this Sixers jersey was new, it was different, and they just had started to get good.
Yeah, the Flyers have changed their jersey style a little bit, but the logo has been the same since their inception. The Sixers, this is a total logo.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different from their previous logos. So yeah,
This is like a Kelly Green type deal, right? With the Sixers, what they're doing.
They didn't use it quite as long as the Kelly Green, though.
No, they didn't stick with it. And it got into the Iguodala years and then kind of faded away. They came back with like a new version of what they have now and all that stuff. But I would go Edgecombe if you were to get a jersey. I go with the future here, Mike and Pete. All right, that's the Nuggets. Little three-pack
That's the Nuggets
for you
today.
today.
They're brought to you by The Hub. Gear that works as hard as you do. Nick Earnshaw is back tomorrow with more Nuggets right here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, Nick.
All right, guys. Remember, wear those sneakers.
Yeah, right. All right. Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. No sneaks with the suit. If you're going to go suit, just do the whole thing. Don't be lazy.
Save the suits for
Weddings,
funerals, prom, and that's it. And maybe like a ESPN.
Ironically,
national
when
TV
I went to
appearance.
my prom, I wore sneakers.
I hope Nuggets is still listening. I hope he's still connected.
Tuxedo, and I had black Vans. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. I was also 17 years old,
Right.
not a man. By
a
the way,
little different.
I'm a man. I'm 40. Got fired this week.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're live at Maynards at Margate. Final hour. Hey, next hour, we're going to give away tickets to go see the Eagles play at MetLife Stadium against the Giants. 2 tickets to the game, transportation to and from MetLife Stadium, and a full tailgate party all day long. The bus will leave afternoon. You'll have all day long to tailgate with Eagles fans for Eagles Giants. All right, final hour of this show on a Wednesday. We're taking a look back at One Thought Every Game on Week 3 in the NFL, which just finished up. And, of course, Casey Joyner is here for One Thought Every Game, brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, where your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today at BMW Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. We are live at Maynards in Margate today. If you have not got here yet and entered, you can still sign up to win the tickets for all the people that entered. When you come outside, the table is up in the front of the Starlight Garden. So we are outside. Ariel is at the table. She is signing everybody in. So you still have time to get down here and get your name on the list. And we will draw those tickets coming up in just a little bit here. But first, it's time for One Thought Every Game. Now, Casey Joyner generally joined us on Tuesday, but he could not break away for his wedding anniversary yesterday. So we are doing this on Wednesday. Happy anniversary, Casey.
Thank you. Yeah, I promised Mrs. Scientist a very rare day off of football in September. So.
All right, we'll keep that on the calendar every year. September 23rd, no Casey Joyner for One Thought Every Game. But, hey, Week 3 in the books here. The season moves quickly, and we take a look back at everything that happened in this Week 3 because it was kind of like a separation weekend. We started to see some stuff, and you just go all the way back to last Thursday night where we saw Buffalo and Miami, and that game was a lot closer than many people had thought there, where Buffalo couldn't pull away from Miami.
They couldn't, and it says something from McDaniel. I mean, it is what it is. They say he's lost the locker room, and I kind of thought he had after Week 1. They're still fighting, at least, and may not be fighting for McDaniel. They may be fighting to keep their jobs. You know, there's a lot of motivations in teams, but for Miami to do that on a Thursday night road game like that, it probably bought McDaniel at least 3 more weeks.
All right, let's get to the Sunday slate because it was filled with some wild things. Let's start off with a wild one. Cleveland beats Green Bay. There's a blocked field goal in this game. This will be a theme of One Thought Every Game. But Cleveland finds a way to beat Green Bay. And everybody likes this Green Bay team thinking that they might be the biggest challenger in the NFC. But they could not win against Cleveland.
Classic trap game. They got the Cowboys coming up next week, and it's Micah going back to Dallas, this week. So, I mean, they got Detroit and Washington, tough teams, and they playing at Cleveland. They're not very good, and they got Dallas next week at a bye. Classic trap game. They just didn't take it seriously, and I thought they let their foot out the gas. You get up 10-0 things, and it just seemed like they were trying to win 10-0. Like, come on, guys, don't do this. You need to go ahead and try and get get more points or something of that nature. You need to be a little more aggressive. I think they got conservative, and something that they need to make sure they don't do again. But yeah, classic trap game. I think is the whole reason Cleveland wins that one.
Okay, One Thought Every Game. We'll look at Eagles and Rams a little bit deeper in just a bit, but let's continue on here. Indianapolis gets to 3-0. Tennessee is obviously struggling along, but 41 from Indianapolis. And now at 3-0, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, you got to start wondering if this Colts team has long-term staying power.
Yeah, when you look at what he did in New York, I mean, Jones, it was that whole – it takes a certain type of – quarterback to handle New York. Eli was talking about it on Maynards on Monday, where it's it's a different situation where you've got a whole different press situation, a whole different thing. There's pressures there you just don't have, and I think Jones will be able to just be himself. And they've built a good offense around him. They don't ask him to throw a lot, 25 times in this game. They've got Taylor; he can run too. So I think they've got a really good thing. And plus, they've got their defensive metrics. They're really good. I mean, it's not a great defense, but they're above average defense. And if you give that with a good running game and Jones doesn't make mistakes, it's a dangerous team. I can see Indianapolis winning 10.
Okay, One Thought Every Game. Cincinnati looks like they got all sorts of problems at the quarterback position. Minnesota, Carson Wentz, not a huge game, but somehow they put up 48. Oh, that Isaiah Rodgers guy that used to play for the Eagles.
Yeah, that helps when you can get two defensive touchdowns like that. And mind you, a 62-yard field goal, all that happening. But for Cincinnati, I worry about it's a Brian Flores defense, and he can make you look like that, especially if you're a backup quarterback. It's a tough situation to be in. But I kind of got the impression, my son's a big Bengals fan, so we pay a lot of close attention to them, that they were like, that maybe they don't believe in the coach as much. I wonder if the seat is hotter for Zach Tayller in Cincinnati than we're all thinking, because if this thing falls apart, you get a couple more games like this, I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati says, hey, we got Burrow, and this is not going where we want it to go. We got to make a change.
All right, one thought every game. Let's go to Pittsburgh. Their defense finally tightened up this week, but could it have been the opponent, New England, struggling offensively again? Drake May, we'll see what that offense ends up being, but not the most prolific offense, but Pittsburgh gets another win.
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson is just, he only got 4 carries, and they gave Henderson 11 in this game. So, I mean, and they've got some talent there, but you don't have to think too much about their ground game, but the Steelers' run defense, it had been terrible coming into that game. To be able to do what they did, to hold New England to what they did on the ground. I mean, it's 119 yards, but New England wasn't really moving the ball that well. And Rodgers is still being what he is, and this is kind of a formula for them, I think, though. They're going to have a tighter defense, and Rodgers makes a couple of plays, things of that nature. It's what they're going to have to be, because I don't think they've got an overpowering defense, but for them to play like this is a heck of a lot better.
Okay, Casey Joyner from The Athletic is with us. One thought every game here on the Sports Bash Live. We're looking back at every game and what it means for week number 3. Jets and Tampa. The Eagles will play Tampa this week. We'll talk more about them tomorrow, but it comes down to the final minute and a blocked field goal for the Tampa Bay Bucs to get to 3-0.
Yeah, and that was it. Hey, look, jumping over the pile like that, it's a talent. McDonald showed it, and if you're a special teams coach with what's going on at kickoffs now, we've got these block kicks. I think special teams coach is a special teams play. I've been looking at it a lot this week. There's a big variance from the best teams and the worst teams. You better have a good special teams. And frankly, I don't know that the Bucs have a great special teams, but to come back and do it, they did the field goal. That's great for them. But I think it's a bad loss for the Jets. But at the same time, you knew you went toe to toe with Tampa at their place. It's got to be something you can build on.
All right, we'll see more about Tampa and Philly coming up in just a little bit. One thought every game with Casey Joyner here. Vegas and Washington. Washington, no Jaden Daniels here. They got to go to Marcus Mariota against his former team, and they score 41. Not a big Mariota day, but how are they able to blow out the Raiders?
A variety of things. It's some big plays. I mean, it's a 90-yard punt return, a 56-yard field goal. McNichols gets that 60-yard run. What are you doing, Raiders? I mean, it's like you had him bottled up and he breaks through. That's not a good thing. And Mariota is I don't know if I call him the best backup quarterback in the league. He's darn close. And if he doesn't, what do we say to your backup? If he played 4 games, if he can help you to win 2, then you're good enough. Well, I know what, he just helped him win 1, and it gives him a chance to get Daniels to come back in if he doesn't play this week. So kudos for Washington for having that good of a backup quarterback. I might have Ashton Genty. I don't know what's happened with him, but he was supposed to be next Barry Sanders that we're talking about. He's looking terrible this year.
Yeah, that was a top 10 pick in the draft here, and he has had a very limited impact for the Raiders. It's the Falcons in Carolina, right? Carolina, though, 30-0. People thought the Falcons, hey, they got this good defense and Michael Penix, and boy, you get shut out against the Carolina Panthers. This has to be a franchise, soul-searching loss.
It does, and you bench Penix too. You put in Cousins, and maybe his Cousins come back. It's terrible. Carolina, though. They fell behind at Arizona. It was 27-3, I think it was. They were just getting blown out, and they fought back. It was like, that's an important moment. It's like Belichick talked about that one game, that famous Kansas City game where they lost. He said he learned a lot about his team that night, not because they still lost and they lost bad, but they never stopped fighting. He said he knew something about that team. They could do something out here. I'm not saying Carolina's going to repeat that and things, but Carolina learned something in Arizona. We're going to keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting, and it carried over here. It's the kind of thing that has a long tail. I think Carolina's going to be a lot better than people think this year.
All right, one thought every game. How about Jacksonville? Are they better than everybody thinks? They win 2-1. Houston, almost everyone's pick to win the South. They fall to 0-3, and they only muster 10 points in the game.
Got to be able to block. If you don't have a good offensive line, you're not going to get anything done, and Texans do not have a good offensive line. Stroud throws a couple of picks, I think in part because he gets rattled by a pass rush. You can't trust your offensive line. Your running backs, they try and do things they're not supposed to do. They don't try and read plays properly. Just try and get up there quickly. A quarterback forces passes, and it just changes the whole dynamic. Jacksonville's got solid play across the board. They got Strange now as a good tight end, and Lawrence is looking better in this offense. I think he'll be even better than this. Got the good 1-2 combination. Yeah, I think Jacksonville. I think it's going to be a really interesting AFC South race. It's kind of been the most boring division in the league. Now it's going to be Jacksonville and Indianapolis. I have a feeling we'll be paying attention to that later this year.
Yeah, let's see how that division has now changed with Indy and Jacksonville at the top, Houston at the bottom. AFC West, Denver and Los Angeles, a good game here, and the Chargers find a way to win. Justin Herbert, 300 yards. Denver, a playoff team from a year ago, they fall to 1-2, but they fall hard in this one. This AFC West is going to be interesting now because you got the Chiefs, you got Denver. Both those teams were playoff teams a year ago. They got to start working their way back up.
Think about the Chargers. Herbert leads the league in passing yards. It's a Harbaugh team. He leads the league in passing yards, and he threw 47 times, got 300 yards in this contest. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, and Quentin Johnston's been fantastic. I just traded him for a couple players in fantasy. Traded him away because I think it's a sell-high trade. But you've got them, and you've got Hampton. Even though Harris is out, I think they're going to stay well with the or even Harris is out. Hampton's going to do well. They've got Harris to back him up, they've got Hassan Haskins to back him up. Chargers play really good defense. Chargers are our top 5 team right now. You could make an argument they're a top 3 team.
All right, and the Eagles play the Chargers later on, and Denver as well. I think they play Denver next week, actually, so we'll have that one to break down. It's New Orleans and Seattle. New Orleans, all sorts of problems. I contend that Kellen Moore probably should have passed on this job, upped his resume with Philadelphia for another year, because this team can't get out of its own way on offense or defense, and Seattle puts up 44.
You are totally right. Bill James said at one time there was a famous manager in the 50s who could have had any job in the league and took like the Washington Senators job, and they were a terrible team. And he just overestimated the value of what he could do for a team. Maybe they turn the Saints around, but boy, yeah, they're the worst team in football right now, probably. And the Seahawks, it shows McDonald has a game plan. He knows what he wants this team to be. And every week that goes by, it's like, okay, it looks like they're getting to be that team. And if he gets them to be what they want to be, tough defense, running, smart passing and all that, things that a lot of people want to do, but he implements that. This is going to be a dangerous club down the road.
All right, one thought every game. Let's move over to Dallas and Chicago. Dallas opens up with a tough game against Philly, and people are like, maybe we got Dallas wrong a little bit here. Chicago hasn't been able to do anything offensively, and then they move the ball at will against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they did lose C.D. Lamb, so I guess you could look at their offense a little differently there. But Chicago moved the ball with ease against that defense.
It'd be nice if the Cowboys, if the Cowboys had somebody like, I don't know, Micah Parsons rushing the passer, that might help them out because they have some of the worst pass rushing numbers in the league. And it's like, guys, that when you traded Parsons, you traded your pass rush away. And when you trade your pass rush away and you go up against a Ben Johnson offense with Williams, and he's got Odunze, and he's got Burden, and he's got some solid percentage players and things. He throws 4 touchdown passes. It's like, if you can't get after Williams, an offense like this can tear you apart. Imagine if they play an even better offense. I mean, Chicago's got some solid talent, but imagine if they go up against one of the good offenses. Put Dallas up against, say, the Chargers. I mean, what the heck would happen there? I mean, Dallas, if they don't get their pass rush fixed, and it looks like they're not going to be able to, this could be a long season in Dallas.
All right, one thought every game. 2 teams undefeated coming in. San Francisco, Arizona. It's back and forth. Very defensive minded. 16-15. Arizona can't find a way to win, and the Niners stay perfect.
We all think about like the kickers and all that, and maybe they're afterthoughts and things. Hey, they let go of Moody and bring in Eddie Pinheiro, and Pinheiro hits 3 field goals, including the game winner. And they weren't long field goals. One was 38, another 35, and he did it at 51-yard, I think. So it was partially there. But you need a percentage kicker, and you can't have a kicker who can't make kicks. And San Francisco got him. It's a difference maker. Arizona, they still have some of the worst vertical pass numbers in the league, and they're just they've got a lot of talent there, but if you can't throw the ball vertically, and Murray has been bad at this, and as this is going on the 4th year in a row, he's been bad at this. If you can't have vertical, there's just a limitation to how far your team can go. So I think the Cardinals have a cap, whereas the Niners, when they get Purdy back and get healthy, they can be dangerous too.
All right, one thought every game. Let's look at the Sunday night game, which offense was at a premium at this one here. This game, the Chiefs obviously have their problems. The Giants have a decent defense. The Giants couldn't do anything offensively in this game. This game was tough to watch, but it brings up so many other questions about both of these teams.
Yeah, somebody posted a meme. I was in the Athletics Discord chat room. I do a game day live chat every game day, and somebody posted a meme. It was a picture of that Moneyball scene where the guy's explaining that he has the board in front of him. He said. Malik Neighbors is one of the best receivers in the NFL, but his defect is that Russell Wilson doesn't know he plays for the Giants. And that's exactly what it looked like. Russell Wilson doesn't know he plays. I mean, and he's not throwing the ball to him. And Malik Neighbors gets 7 targets, but 2 catches for 13 yards. And no wonder they're changing quarterbacks. I mean, this is an otherworldly talent, and Spagnuolo's got a really good defense, but come on. You got to find a way to play call him or find a way to get him 10 targets against this. Because, I mean, Scatty can't be your top receiver in this situation. Now, give the Chiefs credit for doing what they do, but the Giants, I'm telling you, they had to make the quarterback change because Wilson can still throw deep passes, but he's just not consistent enough to win.
I felt like if the end zone tunnel gets more targets in the red zone than Neighbors does, that could be a problem. I mean, real quick on that game, they make the change to Dart. I don't know what you feel about Dart. I mean, will he is he set up in a position that he could do some stuff, with his talents? I feel like he's in a really tough spot. Hey, you're at home against the Chargers here. Good luck.
I'll bet they'll be able to do some creative things. I bet they have an idea of, okay, this is what we could do to do creative things right now. Like, here's a couple, 3 different things. We can throw some wrinkles in there, things people might not expect from him. It's what happens after that. Maybe you get a good game or 2 out of him where he does things people aren't expecting. And, okay, now he's done that. Can he now take that to the next level? Can he now progress to being able to just operate an offense when you can't throw tricks at it? Because sooner or later, you just got to play football instead of doing the tricks. I think it'll be good for a time, and that may be why they're doing it, because they realize, hey, we go 0-4 or 0-5, we're done here. We got to at least try something. It does smack of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's had some early success, but I don't see this being a long-term fix this year.
All right, one thought every game Monday night. The Lions are back. They were out. Everybody left them for dead after opening night. The last 2 weeks, they have looked outstanding, both offensively, defensively, not so much. They ran the ball, though, all over Baltimore, who couldn't get a stop. Now you got to start having questions about Baltimore and that defense.
You do, and they got 7 sacks on Jacksonville. They can rush the passer. That's one thing they can do. Having Hutchinson back's a huge plus. And the Ravens, their defense is, it's shaky. It's like, I think, 38 points. Yeah, they're that bad. You look at their metrics. I'm looking at pass rush, pass coverage, rush defense. I mean, it's just like they don't rate very well in any of them. And they've got next week at Kansas City. We'll talk about it tomorrow and things, but it's not a fair. I would be surprised to see them go 1-3. And if that happens, I mean, how do you come back from that, even given where they are? Because whoever loses that game is going to be a bad spot. But the Ravens right now, 1-3 could put you in a big hole, even though the AFC North doesn't look like a powerhouse division. I'm concerned about the Ravens.
The whole AFC is a mess. I mean, the whole AFC feels like they're all playing with losing records over there. All right, let's look at Philadelphia and the Rams and how that game kind of transpired. I mean, obviously, it's Philadelphia getting nothing going in the first half. They heat up after halftime. The Eagles attack the lifeless first half for them offensively. They're down 19-7. Their defense holds. What changed in that game? How was Philadelphia able to get back in that game? And then ultimately, they needed 2 miracle plays to happen. But how were they able to put themselves in position to win that game?
We talk about Sirianni and that he wants to be, a couple of years ago we talked about, he wants to be a pass first coach, former wide receiver. That's what he wants to do. And now he's bought into the running game and all this, that, and the other. And he doesn't want to get out of that game plan. I think when you get down 26-7, I mean, it's obviously when you're down 19-7 probably, when you're down 26-7 a minute into the third quarter, you have to go pass first. And I think it might be the best thing to happen to him. Even if they had lost the game, it's great they won it, but even if they had lost the game, to be able to say, hey, look, we need to be able to get away from the run first play defense to do that. It wins us a lot of games, but darn it, we need to be able to go do something else if the situation calls for it. And that's just where it's a good, like I said, I think it's a blessing in disguise, because Hurts needs to be able, if you see a good matchup, you don't want to just say, well, we need to run the ball 35 times. You need to be able to play like the old school Patriots. Got a good pass defense matchup, go to the passing game, get out of being one dimensional. So it might have been a plus getting down like that to change their mindset.
So earlier this week, Kevin Batul, the new coordinator, he's getting asked about being conservative. Today, Nick Sirianni is being asked about being conservative. A.J. Brown used the word conservative. Jalen Hurts used the word conservative. Now, the coaches are saying, well, I don't quite see it that way. Are they being conservative? You're a metrics guy. You look at a lot of these things and grade them based on what they're doing. Is this an explosive offense, or is it a conservative offense?
I think, look, they want to avoid turnovers. That's the biggest thing. And when you look at it, the big difference, the reason, running and passing, running is a higher percentage game. And if you start to pass the ball, the problem that you have, and that's why, like I mentioned before, Bill Parcells used to talk about, if you've got a talent deficit, you get into shootouts. The reason you get into shootouts is you enter volatility into the mix. It makes it more volatile for you, but it makes it more volatile for your opponent. The Eagles figure we're more talented than most teams. We've got a ton more talent in defense and offense. We're much better. So we're going to play this high percentage thing. We're going to reduce that volatility as much as possible. I don't call it lack of conservatism. I call it volatility reduction. When you go to passing, you've got to you put in the volatility. I think they need to add a little bit of that volatility in there, because if you don't pass, you miss the upside of what you can get from that. Yeah, add some volatility in there. Maybe you get a turnover here or there, but you're getting enough big plays, you're managing it properly, and get many more big plays than turnovers. It's worth it. So I think they've been getting to too much of this is working. Let's keep doing that. It's good that this thing happens in week 3, because if you kept doing this to week 14, then you try to make a change out late in the season. I don't know how it goes.
So when we watch their offense, it looks like teams are blitzing them more, which is causing the run game to have some problems. Barkley's not having the same effect. Are teams defending them differently this year than maybe they were a year ago?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're realizing that, okay, we can, I don't say force, but we can get what we want from the Eagles. We can get them to play a particular type of game, and then, okay, well, you're going to play this sort of, like, I think the Rams said, we're going to be a little more aggressive. We're going to be more. We're willing to add volatility to our offense where you're not. And if we just play a certain defense, we know you'll stick with your non-volatile approach. And maybe so we might get the advantage of volatility if we play well, and you won't. So I think one of the things the Eagles need to do is the run game. When you've got as good an offensive line as they've got, you've got Barkley and you've got Hurts, you can just go, we'll just run regular things, and we don't have to really mix things up. We don't have to put a lot of creative elements in there. I think they need to start adding some more of those creative elements. Barkley can run any kind of offense you want. He did in New York, and all kinds of things. You see him run power, counter, outside zone, inside zone, variations off that, and any type of thing you want. And of course, you've got Hurts, you can zone read the heck out of defenses. So I think they need to start adding some of those elements back in there to give them add some more, I don't say volatility to the run game, but add some more big play explosiveness from the run game. So I think teams are saying we can just keep you within certain things because we know you're going to be pretty basic about it.
All right, Nolan Smith, injured list, going to miss at least 4 weeks for Philadelphia. That pass rush, it hasn't been a big factor. They have only 3 sacks in 3 games, but it's not always sacks that tell the story of pressures. But losing Nolan Smith for this defense, I don't know. I mean, Jalen Carter is obviously the main guy. Then they have Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, Zach Bond. But losing Nolan Smith, do you think that will be a big loss on this defense?
They're 28th in pass and sack percentage. Only have 3 sacks, and it's 28th in that. And they have a 36.1% pass pressure rate in the first 3 games. Solid number. It's not. You're not going to write home about it. I mean, you'd like to be in the 40s, and so losing anybody is not a good thing. So I think, it is something there. And the thing is, you've got a great secondary, so maybe you feel like you don't have to pressure and you can just go ahead and say we're going to play or do what we need to do. But I don't think the Eagles will sit back and say, look, if you're putting a Super Bowl for me, you've got to get a better pass rush than this. Losing Smith's not going to help you do that. So I think they need to put things in there. But I think in the first 3 games, their approach has been, we've got some changes in our secondary, so we need to make sure we shore that up first. Then we'll worry about pass rush, because if we got good coverage, we can just keep everything in front of us and make percentage plays and keep playing percentage football. So I think they're going to need to address it, and sooner rather than later, because I think they got the secondary shored up even with this last game. I think they got to get that pass rush. You can't get away with a 3% sack rate, be a Super Bowl team.
Zadarius Smith. We'll see if they end up bringing up Azeez Ojulari. He has not been active yet this season. Josh Uche, will he get more run? And obviously Jalix Hunt, that is your leftover. Nolan Smith, that's the big news today. He got placed on the injured list. That's one thought every game. Week 3 is now in the books. Week 4 starts tomorrow night right here on 97.3 ESPN. It's Arizona and Seattle, and you can listen to that game here on 97.3 ESPN. Casey Joyner's back on tomorrow's show as we take a look at one thought every game for week number 4. Casey, thanks, buddy.
Back to I appreciate it.
All right. As always, Casey Joyner's One Thought Every Game segment on the Sports Bash. It's brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. All right, we're live at Maynards at Margate, having a good old time. Everybody hanging out at the bar, having a good old time over there. Now, we had to move inside because it was raining on us earlier, but we're inside, dried off now, and everybody who got here seems to have settled in to a nice stool. Make sure if you're on your way, you hurry down, see up the front in the table there. Get signed in because we're going to do that drawing here right after Find 5 Ugly 5. I got my Find 5 Ugly 5, and then we're going to pull the name for those tickets. Someone's going to the Eagles-Giant game at MetLife Stadium, and I'm so excited for that person. You know why?
Why?
Because the
Why
Giants are just a laughing stock.
They really are,
and you get to go and see a game that you know they're going to win.
That's why Drew Brees saying the NFC East is the toughest division in football. I don't think he's watching the Giants play.
I think he's
Or
going
the
off of
Cowboys,
like
for that
history, right? It used to always be the
Right.
NFC East, but it hasn't quite been that way in quite some time.
Well, he's got to get up to date with the
Well, the
current
Commanders
state.
went to the NFC Championship game last
They
year.
did. But the Giants and Cowboys
No.
are not one of the toughest teams. in
Probably
football.
not. Probably not. So we're going to do that drawing here in about 20 minutes from now. So if you are signed in, hang in. We'll do the drawing. That winner, by the way, here's what you get. 2 tickets to the game, right? You and a buddy get to go to the game. Now, the bus is leaving from the Philly Sports Complex. They're going to take you to MetLife Stadium. It's an afternoon ride up there, so you're going all day. This is like a whole day thing. You're not just leaving from work and like, hey, honey, I'm going to the game tonight. Like, you're going to hang out and tailgate with Eagles fans all day at MetLife Stadium. So they're leaving from the Philly Sports Complex. They'll be tailgating on the bus ride the whole way. They got food and drinks and a DJ and all sorts
And
of.
a driver as well.
A driver, and there's a bathroom on that bus.
Oh, that's key.
That's key. It's a key there. So the bus is taking you to MetLife. When you get there, full tailgate party with all Eagles fans for Eagles Giants. So we'll do that drawing coming up in just a little bit. Text board 609-403-0973. Keep the text coming in. Coming up next, it's this week's Fine Five, Ugly Five, 5 best, 5 worst NFL teams after 3 weeks. Find out who they are. Coming up next. Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN. Thanks to Casey Joyner. One thought every game. We'll get into the Fine Five, Ugly Five in just a second here. Now, we got to get a jersey check. I just saw Fletcher Cox 91
you know what? That's
walking
a good one.
around.
That is a good one.
Fletcher Cox 91. Saw a B-Dog 20 in the house.
Yep.
We had a Kevin Cobb 4.
Now, do you count the Super Bowl champions tee that gentleman has over there?
I mean,
that's
got the Eagles gear. We got a lot of Eagles gear, but those are the jerseys. Dawkins, we had a Barkley. What happened to the Barkley guy? Where did he go? Barkley, Dawkins, Fletcher Cox, Kevin Cobb.
Kelsey. I see a Jason Kelsey over there.
There's a number 1. That's a Hurts. There we go. There we go. He gave us the old Hurts. Now, everybody here, he's got an Eagles. She's got an Eagles. What jersey's that? 6. Smith.
Smitty. Yes.
Smitty. All right. I like the where's the guy with the Sproles jersey? Where'd he go? We had a 43 Sproles in the house earlier. That guy still out there, Sproles?
I like the Fletcher Cox. Oh, there
he is.
There he is, Sproles.
Look at that dude. 43 Sproles in the house.
That's another good one.
All right, so we're going to do Fine 5, Ugly 5, and then we're going to have everybody who's hanging out outside kind of come into this inside area. So we'll draw the winner's name in here. So we'll keep everybody that's in here can kind of sit here. And then all the people that are outside, if you want to, like, matriculate, you don't have to come right this second. In about 15 minutes from now, we'll do that. But we'll do that drawing right after our Fine 5, Ugly 5 today here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Are you ready, Peachy?
Yes.
Are you ready, Josh?
Now I am.
Okay. We're all waiting on you.
I'm working back here.
Okay. All right, Fine 5, Ugly 5. Here we go. These are the Ugly 5. 5 worst teams in the NFL. Number 5. I got to go Houston. 0-3. Casey Joyner convinced me. Like, their offensive line stinks. And quite frankly, we just kept giving them the benefit of the doubt because of the quarterback. They got no running game. They got no one to throw the ball to. And they're 0-3. You're in the Ugly 5, 0-3. How about that? You had predicted to be winning that division. Now you're 0-3. You're number 5 in my Ugly 5.
Yeah, I think the loss of Joe Mixon's really taken a toll on them.
How about trading Tunsil? That didn't seem too smart.
Trading Tunsil, yes, to Washington.
How do you make your team better when you trade away your best players? That's funny.
And the CJ-GJ thing blew up.
CJ-GJ, yes, released yesterday.
Now, if they go on a winning streak without him, what does that say?
That would be epic. That would be epic.
Like they win the next 10 games.
Sirianni was asked today if they want to sign Chauncey Gardner. He diplomatically said no.
Yeah, he in the nicest way possible. He said thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, he basically punt kicked that one away.
Which is we'd rather have Sidney Brown than CJ-GJ.
He says, I'm really excited about the room we have. I think they've done a really nice job to date. Got a good young player in Andrew Makuba who continues to get better. I think having Reed next to him is helping him get better. And just how Reed got better having Marcus Epps in the building. And he basically was like, do you really think we want that nutcase back in here?
He also started naming half the roster because he could.
Yeah, just another way for me to get everybody's name into today's press conference. All right, number 4, Miami fought hard this week. I give them credit. They had a pulse. Not good enough. And it seemed like, for the week that they saved the job of Mike McDaniel, everybody thinking that he's getting bleat canned.
Yeah.
He's still getting bumped.
Yeah.
I don't think at the end of the year he makes it, but people thought he might get fired. Like if they got – what was the spread in that game, 19?
It was up there.
It was double digits, yeah.
13,
yeah, and if they would have got bombed, he might have not made it too much further. All right, number 3, the New York Football Giants. That was a mess. They can't score, and now you got this quarterback situation. Look, they're making the change. Good for them. But you would have had anarchy in that place if they would have left Russell Wilson out there for another game. There was no way they could have done it, and that crowd was ready to explode.
Yeah, that was a circus Monday night.
Guys, what's interesting is that Jordan Rodham was on Sportsman this morning. He said the players didn't want this change.
Yeah, he said the players found out on Twitter that they made the quarterback change. That's exactly where everybody else gets their news.
Well, those two guys, that's true.
Just like the rest of us, right?
Dable and Shane, those two guys, I mean, they're going to be gone at the end of the season.
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
With what Daniel Jones is doing.
Well, what if the
Saquon's
quarterback shows
doing?
a pulse? Do you want him to get another
Probably
regime.
I still think that it's going to be too tough for them.
I mean,
can we keep the head coach and just fire the GM? Like, that would probably be the ideal thing for New York.
Dable's not that good of a coach, though.
He took Daniel Jones to the postseason.
Ooh, that was passionate.
That was passionate.
All right, number 2, Tennessee.
Yeah.
This team stinks. Now
I was so
quarterback's
wrong
banged
about
up.
this team.
Yeah, I did not like this team at all. And in years past, like, I kind of liked them. They fought hard. They were scrappy. Their defense was pretty good.
That
They
was
got
under
and by the way,
Vrabel.
Brian Callahan has given up play calling duties.
Ooh.
That's never a good sign.
No.
Although the Eagles, it prospered for them.
It did. Sirianni. Ever since they gave up play calling
Do you
duties,
think
he has
Tennessee's-
almost 75% winning percentage.
The Eagles were 2-5 at that time. They finished 9-7 that year.
If only Tennessee had A.J. Brown on their team.
Jalen Hurts would help.
Cam
They
Ward's
didn't
still a
have
good
Schmitty
quarterback.
that year, did they? No. Was he here yet, Schmitty? Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah, he
here.
was.
He was here, and Brown wasn't here.
Brown
wasn't on
here.
that.
Oh, that was okay. That was Brown's last year then.
Number 1's the Saints. They're the worst team in the league. Right? There's not even an argument here.
Yeah.
We got 11 guys at the bar here that we could compete with the Saints.
10.
Probably.
Yeah, that's a 16.5 points spread they're facing.
I just got to give a shout out to Jawan Johnson, the guy from South Jersey. That guy's having a great year on a horrible team.
Tried to pick him on my fantasy league. I got denied.
Oof.
All right, fine 5. They're my ugly 5. Houston, Miami, the Giants, Tennessee, and the Saints. All right, these are the best 5 teams in the league. See how your guys match up to this. Number 5, the Lions. I'm back on the Lions. They impressed me. You go to Baltimore and kick their ass, that's doing it. You go to Baltimore on Monday night with Lamar Jackson's stats on Monday night. They were, he's never done this, that. They went down there and pummeljacked that team.
And they're still Dan Campbell's still going for it on 4th and goal, 4th and 2, 4th and 10, doesn't matter.
Lions number 5.
I just got to say, though, how much of that was the Ravens also losing that game? I mean, the defense, all the missed tackles, Derrick Henry fumbling the ball.
The fumble, yeah, that was.
They fumbled the ball, but guess what? They got physically beaten up by the Lions, ran for 200 yards between the tackles. That's an ass kicking. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were without Matabuke, so it didn't help.
Number 4, the Rams. Still like the Rams. I still think the Rams are the best team in the conference next to Philadelphia. I think they're the biggest challenger in the NFC next to Philadelphia. I like the Rams, number 4. There's a lot of options in the NFC. You've got a lot of options of good teams right now. I like the Rams the best, number 4.
Yeah, you're kind of projecting where the Rams are going to be in November.
I know they lost this
December.
week, but I feel like they should have. They really should have won that game, right?
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, the Chargers. Chargers are going to just absolutely toy with the Giants this week, I think. They're going to just absolutely toy with the Giants this week. That team's nasty on defense. And as Casey Joyner said, it's a Jim Harbaugh team that leads the league in passing.
And what a signing it was to bring back Keenan Allen. He's one of Herbert's favorite targets.
Love it.
I love the fact that the Giants are so dumb that they're sending a rookie quarterback out there to get just destroyed by a great Chargers team. I can't wait for
I
it.
wouldn't have been the spot I would have changed to Dart here, but, hey, I would have probably changed to Winston, though. I couldn't have sent Russell Wilson back out there. No way.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a package for Dart, you might as well just let him play the whole game.
Well, that's what McGarry said earlier
Yeah.
was,
You know what the package for Dart is? Sit on the bench and learn. Should be the package.
All right, number 2, Buffalo. Bills. Hey, they struggled with the Dolphins the other night.
They did.
That was a Thursday night game, so I don't like to make, absolutes on Thursday night games. You win the game, you get out of there. Thursday night, short week. But, Dolphins gave them everything they could for a little while there. So, Buffalo, number 2. And Philadelphia is number 1.
Wow. So, no Indy.
Nope.
They did not make the cut. Tampa did not make the cut.
Nope.
That's another undefeated team. San Francisco is undefeated. They
I was
did not
going
make the
to
cut.
ask you, Mike, how much do those teams that Pete just mentioned, their injuries impact this?
Tampa, I like. I just think they're like a step below the Rams and the Lions. I mean, I like that team. I just like the Rams and Lions more. The 49ers, I don't know. No Bosa. I know their defense is still pretty good, but you lose Bosa, that's a big loss for them. I don't love the weapons on that offense, and that's a team that, They don't have a great quarterback, so eventually the quarterback might catch up to them. Who was the other team?
Indy.
Yeah, Indy, solid team. Not ready to crown them yet, right? They're not ready to. I think the Rams and Lions and Chargers are all better than them, but hey, they've certainly exceeded expectations.
And I think that division is theirs to lose.
Washington, by the way, they've got to be. They won handily without Jaden Daniels this past week.
How much
still
of the
banged up though?
How much of the Packers' loss to the Browns factors into this?
How much is the Packers?
Because you don't have them in the top 5.
I think the Packers. I've said before, I like the Rams better than the Packers. Now I know the Packers beat the Lions. That was like the first week of the
bumped
season.
them.
Yeah, they did beat them pretty handily, but then you go and lose to Cleveland. So to me, I think 3 weeks later, the Lions have improved more than Green Bay has. The Green Bay hype is all based on Micah Parsons, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's very
and guess
fair.
what? Micah Parsons has been in the league for 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
How many playoff games has he won?
Well, I mean, he's an individual player. He's not the quarterback.
I get that, but that's my point. He's an individual player. That doesn't mean all of a sudden the Packers are going to win the Super Bowl because they got him. He's still just one individual player on a team that I just don't think is great. I think they're good.
I think the real criticism should be about Jordan Love. Jordan Love, the last
But
2
that's
weeks,
all
has not looked
encompassing.
good.
That's all encompassing. That's why I like the Rams better. I like the Rams' offense better than Green Bay's offense. And, yes, they have Micah Parsons. But as I said, now when I look at them match up with the Eagles.
Right, let me ask you this. If they had Micah Parsons in that playoff game last year, is it a different result?
Probably not.
Okay.
I mean, the Eagles have handled Micah Parsons throughout their history, have they not? Like, he has not really game-wrecked the Eagles.
To me, the larger issue with the Packers is that I think the Eagles' defense has done a great job of matching up against their offense. I think that's what the key is. You know, I think people forget that Philadelphia, over the last 24 games, only allowed 9 points per game in the second half of games. And they've done that twice now to the Packers. They have shut down their offense for the most part in the second half of games.
All right, that's our NFL Find 5 Ugly 5 here on the Sports Bash Live. All right, everybody, come on inside. When we come back, we are going to draw the winner of our Giants-Eagles tickets live on the air, so stick around for that. That's coming up next right here on the Sports Bash. All right, we're getting ready to announce the winner here. It's a Sports Bash Live. All right, Ariel has handed me the winning name, so I got it right here in my hand. First off, thanks, everybody, for coming out. It's nice to see everybody, even with the crappy weather today. We stuck it out to the end. I saw some good Eagles jerseys today. Number 43, Darren Sproles was my favorite of the day. You see a Sproles jersey, there you go. By the way, this guy had a Kevin Cobb jersey that he peeled the name off the back. Good. That's a good pull out of you bringing the Kevin Cobb jersey. Hey, thanks to Maynards, as always. Stephanie and the crew does a great job here. Not to mention she's a great mountaineer. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for always having us. We were here opening day, and, man, that was a great time. But this prize is better. You guys, someone's going to see the Eagles play the Giants. And by the way, you will be leaving from the sports complex in Philadelphia. The bus will leave from the sports complex up to MetLife Stadium in the afternoon. You'll be tailgating all day long, free of charge, drinks, food, DJ, party. It's going to be a good time. If you need someone to go, I'll take off that day. Thursday Night Football. By the way, that Thursday will be Flyers opener. And Eagles, Giants, and Phillies Game 4 NLDS. So it'll be a big, if necessary. So it'll be a big Philadelphia sports night. All right. Bryce Curran is going to the game. If Bryce Curran is still here, Bryce Curran from Ventnor.
All right.
Congratulations, Bryce. Congratulations, Bryce. You are going to the Eagles-Giants game at MetLife Stadium. How about that? Just like that, you're going to the game. Easy to do. See? You listen, you enter, you show up, Bryce gets a pair of tickets to the game. Now, don't forget, coming up tomorrow, we're live at Chickies and Pete's. And on Friday, Stop Out Friday, we're going to be at the Roost for the Ryder Cup. Playing some golf out there. Ryder Cup specials all day Friday. And for everybody that's walking out right now, don't forget, start listening. Details for this year's 99 Bottles party is coming. Get some details on 99 Bottles. I heard some cool things about it.
I got to
now,
get
last
some
year,
off-the-air stuff going
Last year was a mega party.
Yes.
That was a mega party last year. We were down in Wildwood, and we're going to try to top that this year.
Hey,
thank you. Thanks to everybody who popped out. Torker behind the bar over there. Gavin's on the inside. Stephanie, as we mentioned, make sure everybody takes care of them as you get out of here today. That'll do it for us. PG, look, Phil's tonight.
Hopefully they get the game in. Not sure.
My buddy said it was raining up there.
There you go.
Tarp on the field. But we're back again tomorrow. You and I are over at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City.
Tropicana,
yeah,
that's
we're
correct.
back at AC. What else we got? Anything I forget? I wrote something down here. Oh. Hembo's on the show tomorrow. Paul Hembakitis Hembo's on tomorrow's show. Thanks to Greeny. That was awesome today. Checking in on the Sports Bash. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Coming up next, you can hear the Greeny conversation coming up next in the Best of the Sports Bash, plus Major League Baseball tonight. We've got Padres and Mets, is it? No. I got that wrong. Red Sox, Blue Jays. See ya.